Go. Hey, everybody. Welcome in to the rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago. We do this every day at noon, 12 p.m.-ish, sometimes 12:15, sometimes 2. Not so much 2, but sometimes later than 12. But, you can count on, for the most part, in the middle of your day for the last 5 years, you have been treated to what I like to call common sense working class talk. Normal people talk, not partisan, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. We're trying to come together and just, collectively go, what's happening? That's all. Ain't no leader. A lot of stuff. Weird. It's going to be kind of an odd show today. Not a short show, I've got a good 2 hours that I can spend with you at least. But it's going to be an odd show because it's going to jump around. It's going to feel ill-measured. That's because there's a lot of different things happening. There's a lot of really silly things that I would love to just distract myself from and, dive into that. And we will, as we do every day. But then there's also, serious things like the reason that I didn't do a show yesterday, which is something that has been happening the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, let's be honest. And not really talking about it because it's really nobody's business. But I think that, through the course of context clues over the last couple of months, some of you may have surmised that my mother is not doing so well. Okay. So, look, detail. I don't need to give you any details, right? it's just whatever. She's a cool lady and she's having a very difficult go of it. She's sick. And she also has allergies. And this is a really bad time. Remember, this is why you people are like, why is Pugs always obsessed about the weather? He's never given a shit about the weather anymore, because right now the weather is affecting my mother. So when I say, God, it's going to be 50 again, when I complain about that, now a little bit behind the curtain, that's not really just me being frivolous. That's me going, shit, mom's going to have a hard time breathing again. So, yesterday morning, I'll walk you through my day. Yesterday morning, I got woken up. Come on, let's go. We got to go to the hospital. Whoa, early in the morning. But I know what it's about because I've got a different life outside of here. And that life, as you've seen with the days that I missed, that life takes precedent over this one. This is fun. I love doing this. I need to do this. And I'm so appreciative that you people show up every day for this. But, the real world, not the entertainment world, but the real world kind of takes precedence. So yesterday was another example of that, where we had to, mom was having difficulty, breathing. And in the house, the house now is, it's still cool as hell. It's still like on this beautiful wetland with all these animals, and it's still cool. But the inside, is now designed to take care of somebody who's not feeling all that great. And so there's, let's just say we had no open flames in the house, you know what I'm saying? We're treating her breathing issues. She's having oxygen issues. And yesterday morning, she was having a terrible, terrible allergy attack. And because she's sick, because she's dealing with other things, right? The normal allergy attack that you just, move about your day with, sniffling and going, I hate my allergies, right? Because she's got another thing, that allergy attack is not something that you can just move past. All of a sudden, it's, 1,000 times more. And it got real serious yesterday. When people are sick and when they're fighting something and they're doing well and she's doing great. But when people are sick and they're fighting something, it's the other thing from the outside that comes out of nowhere, which is why you still see old people at shopping centers wearing masks. And so many of you are just so angry at them. Well, you don't understand, man. There are sick people out there. My mom now has to be that person. And what are you going to be one of these folks who sees my mom at a Jewel with a mask? And you're like, oh, fucking liberal. Shut the fuck up. I better not be there. You have no clue what people are going through. Anyway, hey, that's a fun little funneling of my emotions. Wasn't that fun? So yesterday was scary, man. Yesterday was really scary because the other stuff is going great. The stuff that we should really be concerned about long term, the real war that she's in, is going great. And then out of left field, something else is like, yeah, but can she handle this too? So yesterday was the scariest of all of them because it's like, this isn't supposed to be happening. This is not supposed to be happening. We're supposed to be better. She was at a bar eating pizza on Monday. Yeah, she went out Monday with her husband to their local corner bar. She didn't bring her oxygen. She didn't have to do that. She was great on Monday. Wearing her black leather jacket, coming home half buzzed. It was awesome. They had to intubate her, like. Then so I had to, we step out of the room for that stuff. So you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be in the room for this. And I step out into the room of the emergency room, a little outside the little drape. She had her little room and they pull the drape. And I step outside there. And this emergency room, folks, was just jumping. I felt like I was an extra in the pit. It was so exciting. And I was obviously juggling a couple of different emotions, but still I was capable of going, okay, something is going on here. And I wasn't really thinking, and I started to meander, and I got yelled at by a fireman. Apparently I meandered towards the exit where the ambulances come, and apparently there was something big that was coming because it was all trauma one, something was coming. And I wandered towards the door, and the fireman was like, hey, get away from there. And I turned around, and I was obviously in an emotional state. And the fireman just melted. Like the fireman went from, hey, get away from there, to, hey, I'm sorry. We're coming through. Can you come over here? It was just kind of a nice little human moment, where at first I was just some slag who was in the way. And then he saw that, oh, I'm in an emergency room. He's probably going through something else. It was nice. So where I found myself was standing against a wall next to a stretcher. Sometimes they put people on stretchers outside the rooms when they're moving them to x-ray or whatever. And I'm standing next to a stretcher with a little black girl with the little cornrow, not cornrow, I don't know what they're called, little black girl braids where she's got all kinds of little bobbles in it and all that kind of stuff. And she's sitting up on her stretcher. She's fine. Like, she looks totally fine. And I'm sitting there and I look at her and I go, your hair is so cool. And she smiled, and she had this big smile, and she started playing with her hair. And I said, what's your name? And she goes, I'm Kiana. I don't know. I don't remember. It's something like that. Cute little black girl name. I tried to put this on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't even know if I spelt it right. She was so cute. And she looked at me with that big smile, and she said, I got hit by an Amazon truck. And all I thought was, that's why she's smiling. That's why she's happy. I didn't get the details, but I was like, oh my goodness, are you okay? And she's like, I'm okay. I just hurt my foot. And her foot was like under the blanket, but I couldn't see it. So I don't know. Maybe she just, they were just giving her x-rays. But whatever, she was fine. She was like, I just hurt my foot. I'm like, man, you better start complaining. I wanted to lean down and go, okay, all right, that's great for right now. But every doctor you talk to, you need to tell them about a ringing in your head and how your back is killing you, okay? Trust me. Where's your mom? I got to find your mom. I got to advise your mom on how to play this because you've just been hit by an Amazon truck. That's at the very least your college, okay? So then I go back into the room where my mom is, and she's now intubated. And then, all the beep, 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 beep. And I'll tell you, man, and this is not a unique experience. And it's one of the reasons that I'm trying to share it with you folks, because this isn't special. You're not hearing this for the first time. Hell, half of you have been through this situation. But when you're sitting in the emergency room or you're sitting in the room with the person who's just been brought in and they're strapped to everything and there's a million different noises and a bunch of flashing lights and everything sounds like a crash cart should come in. Everything. You're sitting in there and all of a sudden it's and we don't know what it is. And we're like, where are the doctors? Where's the crash cart? I've seen ER. This sounds important. And then 3 minutes later, a nurse wanders in and just goes boop and hits a button and walks out like no big deal. They're so cool. The nurses, the people. That's the other thing that I wanted to mention, man. Everybody that dealt with me, everybody that dealt with my mom's husband, everybody that dealt with my mother. Teams of doctors, a bunch of different doctors came in. Nurses, orderlies, phlebotomists, Jamaican women who were just emptying the trash. Everybody's so nice. There's none of this. We know what a shit job that is, right? Working a shift in an emergency room. We know what a shit job that is. And we know how humans, when we do a shit thing for too long, sometimes we get a bit callous to it. None of these people were like that. None of them. They were all so sweet. They were all so kind. They were all so empathetic. So shout out. Shout out to the nurses, the doctors, the emergency room people, the paramedics. When the ambulance came, the paramedics, my God. I didn't meet one asshole. When my mother needed good people, she was surrounded by them. And that's the kind of, that's a victory. And that's why she's doing so much better. Oh, my God. I just talked to her about an hour ago, and she's still in the hospital. She's going to be in there for a little bit. Not everyone is an asshole, is, I guess, my point. We like to get angry. Oh, and I'm going to tell you about some assholes today. But not everyone is. And excuse me. Authenticity. It's what we've always done. All right. So thank you. A lot of you gave good thoughts. And that's why I missed the show yesterday. I'm going to try. We're hoping we're going to get her home for Mother's Day weekend. Hoping, right? That's the goal. She's doing so much better. She's mad. I told you I talked to her like an hour ago. She's cranky. She's awesome. She's my mom, right? So she's always so cranky. She's not cranky with everybody. She's cranky with me. She's allowed to be cranky with me, I guess. She wants her cookies. She wants her pants, and nobody packed the right shoes, and everything is messed up in her bag. Let me tell you something. That is awesome. That is awesome. That she is now back to that. That's good. She doesn't want to be in the hospital, and that she's irritated about being there is good. That's a good thing. It's when they lay there quiet. So on the mend. Things are getting better. I haven't looked at the chat room because I don't really want to engage one-on-one with this. I am knowing you people. I'm sure that there's been a lot of really nice things that you've just posted. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But thank you. And as far as tomorrow's show goes, if we get her out, I don't know. It's pledge. Jesus, that's the other thing. It's pledge week. Do you know what it's like having to miss a show in the middle of pledge week? It was. But I'll tell you something, for all of my stupid little can shaking and all that bullshit that I do here on this show to try and keep it afloat, this ain't real. This ain't real. The anxiety, the sleepless nights of me, worrying about how much longer can we keep this thing paddled in the open ocean with very little wind to support us? How much longer can we? That shit means nothing when you get woken up in the middle of the morning because the ambulance is on the way, right? So compartmentalize our life. I love you guys. I'm sorry I missed yesterday. I'm still going to shake the can, but, I'm going to put a little distance between, the whole mom thing because that is not what I want. But it does so happen that both of these things fall in the same week, and I'm sorry I missed yesterday, and I'm going to try and do tomorrow's show. So thank you so much. Okay. Now, On with the distractions, right? Let's do the distractions. Let's move on. Thank you all so much. Okay. What do I want to mention first? Let's see. Oh, okay, you know what? Real quick, before we go any further, because I am Johnny TV. I love the whole TV thing. Hulu, Hulu, I guess Hulu. Who watches FX? Does anybody watch FX anymore? Hulu. FX and Hulu, I guess they dropped a new episode, a special non-canon prequel episode of The Bear. The Bear, of course, I don't even know what's going on with The Bear. Is it over? Because I don't think I saw the last episode. The Bear's first season, tremendous. The Bear's first season is such an incredibly interesting season of television. Dramedy. Just so smart, so well acted, connected to me because obviously, these are neighborhood people that I recognize and that I know, but just such a great first season. And then the second season, kind of, I don't know. I think maybe I lost interest in it. I will say this I believe it's in the second season, or maybe it's the first, but I think it's the second season. There is an episode called The Feast of the Seven Fishes, which should be a traditional Hollywood watch or holiday watch for every family. It is the greatest family Christmas episode of anything I have ever seen. Incredible TV. Quite possibly, I told you the other day about how I've got a little working list of the best episodes in TV history. Sopranos, Pine Barrens is up there. Seinfeld's The Contest is certainly up there. I told you last week about the Nick Offerman episode in season 1 of The Last of Us. It's a standalone episode. It's pretty much non-canon. One of the greatest singular episodes in TV history. Feast of the Seven Fishes, which is the holiday, the Christmas episode of The Bear. Unbelievable. Jamie Lee Curtis, Bob Odenkirk, just John Mulaney, Sarah Paulson. I mean, we meet the extended Bear family, and it's all like celebrities and famous people playing one-off characters in this family. It's just so great. It's so great. Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh my God, Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing. Feast of the Seven Fishes. So, other than that, I think the first season of The Bear, you can pretty much, you watch the first season of The Bear, and then you make sure you find Feast of the Seven Fishes, and then you can be done. Because the following seasons, I kind of lost interest. Maybe you did too. I don't know. I don't know if it was a personal thing or if it just the storylines got a little bit drawn out. But either way, I kind of jumped off. So I don't know. I think the series is over, right? They finished it. That Jeremy Allen White is a movie star now, and Cousin Richie seems to be somebody who's got a future, and so does Sydney. Her name's very African and difficult for a white guy raised in the suburbs to pronounce, but she's fantastic. Eddie Adebisiye. Isn't that how they used to answer the phone in that 1-800-COLLECT commercial? Remember? All right, are we back? It just did the thing. It just did the thing. Are we back? I have no idea how long I was off. All right. Just let me know if we're back on. Great. Okay. Thank you, April. We're back. Let me know what was the last thing I was talking about. All right. Thank you, guys. Jesus, our numbers are super low today, too. There's, oh, God. See, I don't know how that happened. I didn't touch anything. It just decided that it was no longer going to be offering sound. Not long. Okay, good. All right, so back to the story. So Gary is the name of the episode of The Bear, and I'm glad that Kevin Barber is in the chat room. I'm glad you're here. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else on here that might be just as irritated by me at the entire premise of The Bear episode, Gary, which dropped on Hulu. So it's the guy who plays Shane, right, from The Walking Dead. He plays Mikey on The Bear, and it's Richie, and it's just about the two of them and a job they've got to do for Jimmy. Uncle Jimmy, who's a bit of a mobbed up kind of money guy behind the whole Carmy expansion of the Bear. Again, you have to be familiar with the Bear restaurant. You have to understand what that is. Anyway, Uncle Jimmy has Mikey, again, before Mikey kills himself, has Mikey and Richie do a job for him. That's the whole premise of the episode. Richie and Mikey got to do a job for Uncle Jimmy. What is this job? We don't know. It's not important. But the entire episode is supposed to show you the relationship between Richie and Mikey and why Richie, throughout the run of the Bear, has felt like he could have done more to save Mike. And guess what? You're damn right he could have. Richie is not only somebody who is deficient in looking out for his best friend, but he seems to have been the chief enabler in everything awful that was going on in Mike's life. So the episode Gary, and Kevin, I'm glad you're here. How to pronounce Sydney's last name? How do I say it? Taronda, help me out. It's Sydney's Edie. It's a pretty name. I'm just, it's not like Susie Smith. It's not something I'm familiar with. So it doesn't roll for me, but I'm working on it. Okay, so where was I? All right, so the whole premise, and Kevin, you better still be here. The whole premise of the Bear is that they run essentially what is Mr. Beef. Mr. Beef is a restaurant in the middle of downtown Chicago, okay? Downtown Chicago. The premise of this episode is that Richie and Mikey have to do a job for Uncle Jimmy, and that job is delivering a package to Gary, Indiana. They run a beef sandwich shop in the middle of downtown Chicago, and this entire premise is based on the idea that this is some grand road trip that they're going on. Richie makes a mixtape for the trip and then talks about the open road ahead of them. Fucking watching this thing going, are you kidding me? This is the most inauthentic part of the Bear I've ever seen. These people are supposed to be authentic Chicagoans. And they literally celebrate crossing the state line into Indiana. They're on the Chicago Skyway and they go, we just crossed the state line, like they've been in the car for 4 hours. Now, finally, at some point in this episode, Mikey says to Richie, we're only 30 minutes away from home, which maybe absolved them a little bit. But I was watching it and I'm just getting so irritated. I'm like, why are they acting like they're going on a road trip? I mean, maybe if you wanted to push that storyline, I think the writers from out of town, I think it was written by, here's the problem. It was written by Richie, cousin Richie, and Shane from Walking Dead, Mikey from the Bear. I forget that guy's name. He's a big famous actor. The episode was written by them. They're not Chicagoans. Okay, so when they went, let's do a road trip, in their fucking non-Chicagoan mind, Indiana's a different state. It must be far. So let's write a whole episode where we go on this road trip from downtown Chicago to Gary, Indiana. It's like 15 miles. And he made a mixtape of music. And then they get to Gary and they're driving through Gary, Indiana, and they are literally acting like, as Chicagoans, they've never been to this exotic land of Gary. Every single Chicagoan has driven through Gary a million times. Every Chicagoan's been to the Indiana Dunes. The Indiana Dunes is 10 miles past Gary. Okay, we've driven through Gary. We know Gary. It looks exactly like Chicago. You know, as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the sign that says "Welcome to Indiana," you'd just be driving on a Chicago expressway. You wouldn't know that you were in. But it's bugged me anyway. I needed that distraction. Thank you, Kevin. Kevin and I ditched high school one day and went way past Gary, Indiana, and we're back before school ended. We went to the beach. It's not a big deal. And so the premise that these two guys had never been to Gary, they're driving around Gary and they're like, this sure ain't Chicago. And I'm like, really? Because it's just an arbitrary border that this, two streets. Well, what are you talking about? It sure ain't Chicago. They're acting like they drove to Tulsa, and it drove me nuts. And then I realized that the episode was written by two people who were not Chicagoans, who don't have this understanding of what Gary is, which is essentially a suburb of Chicago. Gary is a suburb. It would be like if you lived in Frisco and made a huge day trip out of going to Irving. My Texas friends, do you see how absurd that is? Okay, so that was my problem with it. Other than that, a pretty interesting episode. The episode taught us that Richie and Mikey were retarded. They were basically two retarded guys who made every bad decision you possibly could. Here's the premise. They had to go do a job for Jimmy, so they get to Gary. They start early in the morning. I want to hit the road. And they get to Gary like 20 minutes later. Right? It's like 6:30 in the morning. They're in Gary. And they're like, oh, we got to wait a couple hours. The deal that we're doing for Jimmy, which is never explained because it's not important, but the deal that they're doing for Jimmy, it's delayed for a couple hours. So what's the first thing they do? They go get some cocaine in 40s, and they're sitting around in Gary, Indiana, across from Michael Jackson's house going, let's do some cocaine in 40s. It's like 8 in the morning. Jesus. Then they go into a bar. Then they play basketball. And it was, I don't know, just a little heavy-handed. But if you like the bear, there you have it. John Bernthal. Thank you, Barney. John Bernthal. And look, the Gary, Indiana episode really bothered me because right now the Chicago Bears, there's an opportunity for them to build a new stadium on Wolf Lake, which is right across the Indiana border. It's right there. It's like 15 minutes from downtown. And people who are opposed to this for strictly provincial reasons, I mean, all of a sudden the Wolf Lake site isn't the Chicago area. It is surrounded by Chicago neighborhoods. Yes, the Wolf Lake site is technically in Indiana. Hammond, Whiting, whatever it is, right there on the border of Chicago and Indiana. But anyway, there's a big fight, and people are trying to make it seem the out-of-town stupid are like, the Chicago Bears going to have to change their name. I'm like, why? Why would they have to change their name? The players don't even have to move. They're not moving their headquarters. They're just moving the stadium that they play in 10 miles, but it happens to cross a state line. So you people are acting like they're moving to St. Louis. And that bothers me because that's a narrative that has been pushed nationally and by people at the local level, that this Indiana site is far and not Chicago, and they're so different. And then comes this bear episode that basically bolsters that moronic point. So yeah, so I'm a little bit testy. All right, there you go. So watch it if you want. It's called The Bear Gary. It dropped. It was a surprise episode. I see some people in the chat room also talking about Kevin Hart's Funny AF, which Netflix did their live Funny AF finals and all of that. And yeah, I'm a little shocked. I won't say who won. It's in the chat room. But if you want to watch it, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I guess not everybody sees and enjoys America. Really? I don't know. I have thoughts, but not enough people have seen it, and so whatever. Anyway, there you go. It's a good series. It's a good series. You can enjoy it if you were like me and some of the people in the chat room. You enjoyed the live finals. Maybe you voted. I did. I voted. I did not win. I did not win. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Hey, let's talk about the rat virus, okay? Because this is turning into a real story. And if you're like me, it kind of reminds you of the early days of Corona. Remember the early days of Corona when it was just something we were barely paying attention to? We're like, oh, yeah, they're trying to scare us with another disease. That's what I thought. No, please, we can cure everything. That's what I thought. And then, suddenly the whole world shuts down for 2 years. We Gen X, we've been through it, man. We Gen X. Raised, hard scrabbled during the Cold War. That was a fucking psyop for our entire generation, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Talk about making an entire generation see the world in a dystopian, sort of hopeless way. Thank you for that, boomers. Gen X raised in the Cold War. We were right there. We were 30 years old. We were in the World Trade Center. That was us in 2001, Gen X. That was smack dab in the middle of our prime. Boom. And then, everyone told us there were two worlds. There was the world before 9/11, and there was the world before or after 9/11, right? So we had that, the Cold War. I didn't even mention the internet. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, yeah, the way you've been doing absolutely everything for the first 25 years of your life, Gen X, different now. You got to learn it. You got to learn new shit. You got 9/11, you got the internet, you got the Cold War as our foundational worldview. And then Corona. Then we got Corona, man. What's next? All out nuclear war? I mean, is that the next thing Gen X is going to have to live through? Anyway, so we're here with Hunta virus. Rat virus. Let's just call it rat virus because that one sells. Hunta virus. Nobody knows what that is. Hunta. People are like, what is that? Like a Central American military virus? What is a junta? What is a junta? People don't know. Rat virus. Oh, that's the branding this thing needs. Rat virus coming to take over the whole world. So there's this cruise ship. I've been telling you about it all week. It's been a story. It's been percolating all week, except now all these rat virus people, now they're all spreading out and we got rat virus in America now. That's right. Two of the people. Apparently this boat had a breakout of rat virus. I don't know what it does. I think it makes you poop and kills you. I know that. It's the end of you for the rat virus. So the rat virus breaks out on this boat, and apparently a couple of people got sick, and the boat knew that all these people got sick, but they paid for their trip, and so they stopped in some ports, and they do what people on cruise ships do, which is go into some ports, buy some illegal medicines, and then have sex with local prostitutes. That's my understanding. That's not what happens on these. I don't know. I've never gone on a cruise. Just seems very skanky. So now they got to worry about everybody that everybody talked to. There is a KLM stewardess who apparently now has the rat virus because one of these cruisers flew on her plane, to get to the cruising spot. It's just people from we don't know where it started. Somebody ate some rat poop or something. Trying to figure that out. Anyway, it's spreading. What do we have here? Here's the latest. Let me give you the latest on this. And then, you know what? Wait, before I give you the latest on this, let me show you this. Look at this. Just so we know what we're talking about. Because, I'm very vocal about my anti-cruising stance. I do not like cruises. It's just a bad hotel that you can never leave. Now, they got water slides. They got 15 different pools. They got discotheques, movie theaters, bowling alleys, roller rinks. They got mini golf courses. They got photon tag. Yeah, they still got photon. I'm sure they do. Remember photon? I'm sure they do. You can play paintball. You can blah, 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 right? It's still a hotel. I can't leave the premises. Most resorts have all of those things too, but I like to leave and go into town. Again, for the illicit drugs and prostitutes, but that's just me. I'm kidding. I have questions about American prostitutes. I don't think I'm willing to take on a foreign prostitute, a third world tourist prostitute. No, thank you. So let's look at this boat. Look at this boat. Look at this cruise ship. This is the cruise ship. Show me the pictures. Yeah, there it is. This is the cruise ship that is at the center of all this shit. Look at that thing. Hold on. Make it bigger. That's what she said. All right. This is the cruise ship. What the hell is this? What are we looking at here? The SS Minnow? This is the cruise ship that is behind all. First of all, who's going up? What? I don't see a damn water slide. I don't see one damn water slide on this cruise ship. Where are they hiding the roller rink? Sir, is there even a pool? This doesn't even look like a real cruise ship. Yet this is the cruise ship that is at the epicenter of this whole junta virus, or as we in the know like to call it, the rat virus. Here we are. Amsterdam, countries worldwide are scrambling to trace people who had left the cruise ship by a. Is this AI? AI. Countries worldwide scrambled on Thursday to trace people who had left the cruise ship hit by a hantavirus outbreak. That was my fault. Before it got marooned off the coast of Cape Verde in an effort to prevent further spread of the disease. 3 people now, a Dutch couple and a German national, have died in an outbreak on the MV Hondius. That's the MV Hondius that we're looking at. The hantavirus, the ND rat ship. It says here, the Dutch government on Wednesday said that around 40 passengers had disembarked the ship in Santa Helena, where the ship made a stop on its way to Cape Verde before the outbreak was reported. The whereabouts of many of these passengers is as yet unknown. One of those to disembark was the wife of the Dutchman who had died aboard the ship on April 11th. She fell sick herself and died before she could reach the Netherlands. Okay, let's break this one down. Okay, so I guess this is one of the people that went on a day trip at one of the ports. Her husband had died of the virus, and she's still gonna go tourist shopping. Is that what I'm reading? Let's do it one more time. One of those who disembarked the boat was the wife of the Dutchman who had died aboard the ship on April 11th. Okay, he died on April 11th. We need to know when she disembarked. What are we talking about? They didn't put that there. That's important. I'm scrolling back to see, because I think it's important. Her husband dies on the cruise, and she's not going to let that interfere with the vacation she's been dreaming about all year. Is that what I'm reading? Seems like her husband dies of this thing. Oh, maybe they didn't know what it was. Maybe that was it. Maybe he died. She's like, I'm gonna go shopping. She's like, my husband died. Bummer. But I'm single on the cruise. Or maybe it was, I don't know. And they didn't know what it was, so that's why she went. She wasn't sick yet. Anyway, the virus found in the victims has been confirmed as the Andine strain, which can spread among humans through very close contact. Experts have stressed that contagion is rare, but the outbreak has put health authorities on high alert. In the United States, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said on Wednesday it was closely monitoring the situation with U.S. travelers on board the ship. Yeah, there are a bunch of people from America on that ship. They're coming home. Adding that the risk to the American public was extremely low at this time. Reminds you of coronavirus. Look, I don't know what's coming next. Who knows, man? It's distraction palooza. More on that coming up. We're going to talk about the alien distraction that's about to be dropped in our laps. That's going to be a whole thing. It says Argentina's health ministry has said that it will carry out rodent trapping and analysis in the southern city of Ushuaia. That's the origin point of this particular cruise ship, the MV Hondius, with nearly 150 people on board. Is 150 people on that boat? I mean, if it's from the Netherlands and it's like touring around the Cape of South Africa, I would think that's expensive to an American. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It looks like a shitty boat is my point. The MV Hondius, with nearly 150 people on board, is expected to dock in Spain's Tenerife, I don't know, Canary Islands. Let's just say that. It's expected to dock in the Canary Islands on Saturday. Once in the Canary Islands, if they are still healthy, all non-Spanish citizens will be repatriated to their countries, while 14 Spanish passengers will be quarantined in the military hospital in Madrid. Why? Is there a reason that is it because why? Are the Spanish people just being overly cautious? I mean, is that what's happening? 3 patients have been evacuated from the ship on Wednesday. One of them had been admitted to a hospital in the Netherlands, while another one was transferred to Germany for medical care. The plane carrying the 3rd patient was set to land in the Netherlands on Thursday after facing a delay due to a problem with the patient's life support system. Oh, jeez. All right, well, the rat virus is coming. Don't say I didn't warn you. Stop playing with rats, huh? That shouldn't be that hard. Shouldn't be that hard to stop that one. If really it's just, people playing with rats. Don't hang out with people who play with rats, okay? Sorry, Charlie. Charlie from It's Always Sunny. If anyone in America is going to give us the spread of the rat virus, it will be Charlie, King of the Rats. All right, what else do we have? Okay, so I don't know what's going on with the war. I don't know, is it a war? Is it not a war? We do this every day. There's a peace memo. We got a peace memo. Trump just wants it to end. Trump just wants it to end. And again, I don't give a shit about whatever this is. This is all, again, another one of these psyops that we're so frequently being victimized by. I have no idea what's happening. Here's what I know. I know that gas prices were $2.50 2 months ago. They were $2.50 here 2 months ago. They're now $5.01. They're $5.01 in Chicago. Paid $5.01 yesterday. They were $2.50. That's double. Price of gas has doubled. And $2.50 wasn't acceptable. $2.50 was still like, okay, fine. This is the absolute, right? We don't want it at $3. So that's how I judge this war. And, what do you keep hearing from them? Well, even if this peace memo goes through, it won't immediately affect gas prices. Oh, really? Oh, because I do know that whenever something happens halfway across the world, whether it's an earthquake or an oil spill or something, I do know that immediately affects the price of gas. Immediately. You guys let us know immediately. Well, the oil spill in the, outside China, it's going to raise gas prices by 10 cents by morning. I don't understand it. Why does it work that way? Why does it always go up immediately, but when good things happen, it doesn't come down immediately? Why? Because they're constantly milking us, and we have been programmed to expect it. Not only expect it, but we've normalized it. It's totally normal. Hell, you've got people in this chat room right now that still carry water for the rich oil company guys in their yachts. They never mind. Anyway, I know this. Fine. The Iran peace memo. Great. A memo. This has been a thing for 50 years, and you're going to solve it in a memo. Strait was open. Strait was working. Maybe they had uranium. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. It's the way it was forever. I wanted regime change. I'm like, that's the one good thing. I go, that's the justification that you could sell it to me, that these people are the reason that we've had so many prolonged problems with the Middle East, when it seems like everybody else is coming to the table. But we've got these guys now, Iran, and they're funding terrorism. Regime change. That's what I wanted, but that's not even on the table now. They're negotiating with the son of Khomeini. And the Strait's screwed up. The Strait is screwed up. None of this was a problem before. But if you listen to this administration, they'll tell you that it's worth it to us. It's worth it to us. Look, when I was pumping that gas at 5:01 yesterday in Olympia Fields, when I was pumping that gas yesterday, I was saying to myself, at least I'll get a good night's sleep knowing that Iran ain't going to blow up Chicago tomorrow. Fudge you. The American people can sleep well. Sure, they're putting up with that. And so many of you are just taking that spoonful and he's right. He's right. I'm going to argue that now. Next time my friend complains about how this is Trump's gas prices, I'm going to say, but can't you sleep well now? No, I can't sleep well now. And you know why? Because North Korea still exists, because China still exists, because any number of other nuclear nations that we're not exactly on good terms with still exist. So my high gas prices, Iran wasn't my number one fear to begin with, nuclear-wise. It wasn't anybody's, because they didn't have it yet. But now gas prices, so that we can sleep well at night. Handle North Korea. But you won't do that. They don't have oil. So a Rand memo. There you go. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe it already has. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Okay. So Rubio, they send Rubio. They send Rubio. You know why they send Rubio for everything important? Because Rubio is the only grown up. He seems like the only one, even if he is a horrible, horrible person under his veneer. Even if he is that, he at least presents well. And I think that all of us as Americans, we should feel more comfortable when they put Marco Rubio in charge of something, because he ain't going to say the stupid thing. He ain't going to say the thing that people are going to start, clutching their pearls and screaming about. No, he's a statesman. I got to be honest with you, although his complicitness in this whole thing is very troubling. Should the Republican Party rise again, he's the one that we should, I think, take at least a little bit seriously. Complicity being a problem. But Rubio at least seems like he knows what he's doing. So most of the time, okay. Look, it's not a high bar. He's standing next to Pete Hegseth and Kash Patel, so and they're working for Trump. So it's not a real high bar. But he has, of all of these people, seemingly gained the most from this obvious complicity. Even though he's good, not good. God, don't say good. Low bar. What he is. I don't know what he is. He's going to see the Pope. They're sending Rubio, who is a Catholic, a Latino American Catholic, sending him over there to talk to Leo, because Leo is still like an asshole preaching for peace, saying that Jesus doesn't like war, like the lion sack of demon crap. Pope Leo, of course he's not. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. That's what the Pope does. Hey, Jesus would want us to be cool. Okay, but apparently, if you've been gaslit to the point where that sounds like some sort of, provocation, someone you should hate. I hate that guy who's saying Jesus likes peace. What? It's not like Jesus was the Prince of Peace. Oh, yeah, he was the Prince of Peace, wasn't he? Yeah. Not American Jesus. American Jesus looks like Chuck Norris. What American Jesus looks like. American Jesus drives an El Camino, all right? And his girlfriend used to be a stripper. That's American Jesus. American Jesus started a tire company, and now he's like a billionaire because he sells tires. ATV tires and jet skis. I don't know, whatever the American vision of American Jesus is. He ascribes to the prosperity. I love that. I love that. I love the mega preachers who, preach the prosperity doctrine. Jesus wants you to be rich. Jesus wants you to start that 1-800 number. All right. So anyway, Rubio's going to meet with the Pope because the Pope is still talking about peace. And, Trump has realized that him going after the Pope hasn't really played well polling wise, seeing as though the Pope is pretty much the most popular person on the planet at the moment and Trump ain't. So we're going to try and fix this. So Rubio's going, he's going to sit down with the Pope. There you go. Good times. It'll be wonderful. Now, let me talk about the Pope here for a second. Pope Leo. Father Bob, as we call him here in Chicago, is Holy Father. So the Holy Father himself, Holy Father, Father Bob. So it's a great story. This is just the kind of story that I don't know, restores my faith in humanity, because when I first heard it, I thought it was a lie. When I first heard the story, I thought it was clickbait. I was like, this is just clickbait. This never happened, because that's how I feel about a lot of these. It's a new thing now on Twitter, and it bothers me because I've been doing it for a long time, trying to make weird little Curb Your Enthusiasm moments from my life into real funny stories. I've been doing this forever, and now I'm seeing that a whole bunch of people are doing it, and they're just obvious lies. They're just obvious lies. So I was walking down the street yesterday, and this guy came up to me, and he said, and it's always long, and I start reading it, and I'm like halfway through, I'm like, this is a lie. This is absolutely a lie. So that's what I thought this Pope Leo story was, another clickbait lie. And it turned out, no, it's not. It's true, because I saw John Prevost, who is Pope Leo's brother. He was on CNN yesterday, and they asked him directly about the story, and he confirmed it, and he told the story. So let me show you the story, how it played out. This is Father Bob. Wait a second, where is it? Yeah. This is Father Bob's buddy. Father Bob's buddy is a Chicago area priest. Can you imagine that? You're just regular priests, and then all of a sudden, one of you becomes the Pope, and now suddenly you're just not some rando priest. Now you're like buddies with the Pope. Pretty good. Access has its privileges. I don't know if can we make this bigger? Yeah, it looks like maybe we can make it bigger. Okay, so let me show you this. So this is Pope Leo's friend, who is a Chicago priest, telling a story about Pope Leo. And this story is true. It was confirmed by his brother on CNN. This is a great story. Here you go.
2 months in, he calls his bank in South Chicago to change his phone number. And I think it's...
All right, hold on. I don't know if it was loud enough. All right, so you get the premise. This is Pope Leo's buddy up here telling a story. 2 months. 2 months. By the way, congratulations. 1 year today. That's the other thing. 1 year today for Pope Leo. That's awesome. So he's telling a story 2 months in to being Pope. He's now, living in the Vatican, and he's got to change his phone number at his personal bank, right? The Pope. Pope was a normal dude with a bank account at some bank on the south side of Chicago. And so he's got to call. He's now the Pope. So he's got to do the, popes. They're just like us. They put the pants on one leg at a time. So he's got to find a quiet moment there at the Vatican. He's got to call his bank in Burbank or Stickney or wherever, Orland Park, wherever the hell his bank is, where the Pope before he was the Pope bank. He's got to call him. He's got to change his phone number. He's got to change it to a Vatican number. Okay, so that's the story we're being told.
2 months in, he calls his bank in South Chicago to change his phone number. And I think his address. And so he gets a lady, says, "Yes, ma'am, I'm Robert Prevost. I'd like to change." She asks all the security questions. And then he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. It says here you have to come in person." And he said, "Well, that's not going to, I'm not going to be able to do that. We can't change." "No, sir. I gave you all the security questions." "I'm sorry, sir. Would it matter to you if I told you I'm Pope Leo?"
They
hung up on him.
Hung up on the Pope.
Could you imagine being known as the woman who hung up on the Pope?
All right. Anyway, that's a great story, and it turns out to be completely true. And it's just the kind of thing, no matter who you are or where you are, you still have some kind of entanglement before you were who you became. And the Pope tries to call his bank, and he's like, "Yeah, I need to change my phone number. Got a new address." What's the new address? The Vatican. Anyway, no, sir. It says here that you have to come in and present an ID for this. Yeah, I can't do that. Can't do that. She's like, "Oh, well, don't really know what to tell you." And he's like, "Look, Pope Leo, right? Trying to get human." He's like, "Look, would it matter if I told you that I was the Pope?" And she hung up on him. She hung up on him. And then obviously, he got it done, because what do you do at that point? You're the Pope. You call the Cardinal of Chicago, who calls the president of the bank, who then rushes down there and, does it himself. But yeah, that woman, at some point, that woman knows who she is. That woman knows that she hung up on the Pope, and I hope she's not Catholic, because that's going to be, she's going to need to make a pilgrimage and, ask him for forgiveness. And he, of course, is going to forgive him. And he's like, "You didn't have to come here for that." Because popes are cool. Or at least this Pope is cool. Not all popes are cool. I shouldn't say that. This one is. This Pope is cool. He likes beef sandwiches, pizza, and the White Sox. Bear down. He's got a bear down tattoo on his ass. But you didn't know that. It's true. Google it. Don't Google it. All right. So here's a story from yesterday that I wanted to talk about, but we didn't do the show because of my mom stuff. Ted Turner died. Ted Turner, the creator of cable news. He is the creator of cable news. I saw a bunch of really funny memes going around yesterday when he died. A lot of Sam Elliott, a lot of pictures of Sam Elliott. Today we lost the man who invented the internet, in a picture of Sam Elliott. Very funny. Ted Turner probably would have gotten a kick out of that. Ted Turner's a cool dude, man. That you say all you want about what you think in 2026 an alpha male is, but Ted Turner was an alpha male. Ted Turner, man, 1975 Ted Turner. Look out, ladies. That dude he had a thick wallet, big dreams, and a fucking motor like nobody before him. Ted Turner, what he did do was invent the concept of cable news. And what Ted Turner created is not at all what we have today. Ted Turner, unfortunately, his idea, which wasn't supposed to be a ratings blockbuster, he really did see CNN as more of a obligation, as a broadcaster, as somebody, this is an obligation to give, real news, real global news. That's what CNN was. And then Roger Ailes came around about 15 years later, and he completely turned it into this mess that we have today. But the initial idea was Ted Turner's. Another very funny Ted Turner meme that was going around yesterday. Funeral services for Ted Turner will, of course, begin at 7:05. Which is such a great Ted Turner joke. Because for anybody that remembers all the Turner channels started 5 minutes after the top of the hour. Remember that? Everything on TBS back in the day started at 7:05, 8:05, 9:35, 6:35, 7:05, right? That was it. It's counter programming. That was Ted Turner. That was Ted Turner's idea, and it's what made TBS a national superstation. What was Ted Turner's thinking with let's start at 7:05 and not 7? Ted Turner's thinking was simple, and he came across it the way all great ideas are stumbled across, and that was through actual life experience. Ted Turner would sit and he would watch TV, and everything started at the top of the hour. And he said that by 5 minutes after the top of the hour, he knew there was nothing he wanted to watch. So wouldn't it be great if something new was starting at 7:05? And that's how we came up with TBS, TNT, Braves games, everything on TBS starting at 7:05. They don't do that anymore, right? We know that's not a thing. That probably stopped 15, 20 years ago. But all right, Ted Turner, a true alpha, a true ass kicker, a get things done, don't fuck with. And if you did fuck with him, he could fight back. He was a wit. He had a mouth on him. Woo! Ted Turner's 20 years younger. Ted Turner's 25 years younger. I think he would have been the good Trump. He would have been the good Trump. That's all I'm saying. I think Ted Turner, because Ted Turner gave billions of dollars to important things quietly. He was a big outdoorsman. He loves the outdoors. Ted Turner bought so much land and then turned it over to local, land management and conservatorships and all that stuff. And not since Teddy Roosevelt has anybody been better for the American. I'm not going to say environment because that's a triggering word, but the conservation movement, the American conservation movement. He brought the buffalo back. Like, that's basically his whole thing. I want to bring buffaloes back. Turner was cool. He had also, to his credit, right? He was always hanging out with beautiful women. He was sort of like, again, you look at Ted Turner and you look at Donald Trump in 1992. I was way more of a Ted Turner guy. I was like, Turner's so much cooler. Donald Trump's a fool. Turner's cool. Turner's out there banging Jane Fonda, like second peak Jane Fonda. Like peak Jane Fonda was Barbarella Jane Fonda. That was Pam Anderson, Sydney Sweeney Jane Fonda. And then she got like 15 years older, and then she became aerobics Jane Fonda, where we were all like, oh my God, that old 35-year-old. Remember that? She was like 35, and we're all like, she's so old. That Jane Fonda was pretty hot too. He got her. Anyway, all right, so Ted Turner died yesterday. Who knows what he died of? He died of being old and awesome. That's what happens. Just so much awesomeness in one dude. He had some things. Like, look, you can look at a guy like Ted Turner, you're obviously going to find some things that make you wince. He had some things, but whatever. On the whole, Ted Turner, I always thought was pretty cool. There's a great documentary about him. Probably called Ted. I don't know. I don't remember. But there was a great, relatively recent, like within the last 5 years. That's how you know I'm old. The last 5 years is relatively recent to me, but it's really good, and you should watch it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go look for it. Maybe it's time for me to rewatch that again. So Ted Turner died. Which brings us to this. Here, let me no. Hold on, guys. Let's do a Death Trilogy update, right? Because we like to do this. We keep track of the Death Trilogies here. We starting on January 1st, we believe that celebrities die in threes. And the reason they die in threes is because in the afterlife, there is a special gated community for the celebrity class. You think you're going to die and do shots with Johnny Cash? You're not. Johnny Cash is over with the other celebrities. I'm sorry, them's just the rules. So when celebrities die, they have to die in threes. Why? Because the condos there are 3-bedroom condos. So it starts out every year. We track it from January 1st at midnight, and we start going with 3 celebrities. I think we've got, how many celebrities do we have right now? Let's see if we can get this open. The very first Death Trilogy, we'll tell you about that. The very first Death Trilogy of 2026, it occurred on the 10th of January, the 13th of January, and the 17th of January. These celebrities must die within 10 days of each other to be a true trilogy. Not my rules. It's in the Bible. On the 10th, the very first person to die this year, the very first celebrity was Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead. He died on the 10th. He is joined in his 3-bedroom condo in the sky by Scott Adams. Very provocative Scott Adams. Him and Bob Weir are not going to get along. They're also joined by the old knuckleballer, Hall of Fame Boston Red Sox, Pittsburgh Pirate, and Chicago White Sox. Wilbur Wood died on the 17th. So that's the first Death Trilogy. That was one. So now we find ourselves here in May. Where did we stop off? We stopped off in April. So let's go through from where we stopped off. All right. Oh, there's that one. Then we did this one. Did we do that one? Did we do that one? Yeah, okay. So the last one that we noted was Death Trilogy of 2026, number 9. Those 3 people who are spending eternity together are Chuck Norris, who died on the 19th of March, followed by Robert Mueller, who died on the 20th of March, and then Valerie Perrine, actress. Lenny Superman. She was in Superman. Valerie Perrine. All right, so that was number 9. That was the last one that we covered. Here are ones that we missed. That was followed in March by Death Trilogy number 10. Barrett Robbins, 52-year-old former American football player, Oakland Raiders. Don't know how Barrett Robbins died, but do you remember Barrett Robbins? Barrett Robbins was the center for the Oakland Raiders who went missing the night before the Super Bowl. He's also the guy who was drummed out of the league because of, shit like that, who then a couple of years later got shot 3 times by Miami cops. He was raging. Barrett Robbins then came out publicly and was fairly well received as somebody who was seriously dealing with debilitating bipolar disorder. That's why he disappeared before the Super Bowl. He thought they'd already won the Super Bowl. He was in a different place. Barrett Robbins, very sad case. Very sad case. He's dead, 52 years old. I don't know how he died. He died on March the 26th. He's number 1 in the celebrity wing. He's followed by another football player, the great Joey Browner. Joey Browner, 65, played for the Vikings. That's how I remember him, but I guess he also played for the Buccaneers. Joey Browner died on March 28th. He joins fellow football player Barrett Robbins. Mary Beth Hurt, 79 years old. She also died on the 28th. World According to Garp. Do you remember that? Age of Innocence. Woody Allen's Interiors. She was a very well-respected 1980s actress, Mary Beth Hurt. I think I always thought that she was John Hurt's sister, but she's not, I don't think. But anyway, that's Death Trilogy number 10. 2 football players and a 1980s actress. All right, so we also skipped over this one. On April the 6th, we lost Nick Pope. Nick Pope is a very well-regarded, at least I highly regarded him, a UFO guy, which now we are here in the age of disclosure where anything's about to drop at any minute, and Nick Pope will not be around to see it. Nick Pope died on April the 6th. He was the host of Ancient Aliens. I don't know if you ever watched that show. UFO Declassified was another one of his. He was pretty interesting. Nick Pope. died at 60. British journalist, television personality, and UFO expert. That was on April the 6th. Hold on. Wait a second. I skipped down too low. Okay, yeah, April the 6th. All right, then we got April the 8th. Davey Lopes, longtime great Los Angeles Dodger, captain of the Dodgers back in their 80s World Series days under Tommy Lasorda. He also played for the Chicago Cubs, a couple of other teams as well. Davey Lopes, 80 years old. I think his name was Lopez, but back then, you wanted to be more white, so I think he went with Lopes, but I think his name was Lopez. Davey Lopes, self-loathing Mexican. He joins Nick Pope, UFO expert. He died on April the 8th. And we're going to round this off. Africa Bambaataa, 68 years old, American DJ and rapper. Prostate cancer is what got Africa Bambaataa. So Africa Bambaataa, Nick Pope, and Davey Lopes. There you go. That's Death Trilogy number 11. Hold on. Where are we? Number 12, we got Sid Croft. Sid and Marty Croft, those guys. Sid Croft, Alan Osmond, another one of the Osmonds, and David Allen Coe. That's a rough one. Sid Croft of Sid and Marty Croft, Alan Osmond, and David Allen Coe. They'll all be living together in a suite. All right, here we go. This is the most recent one. This is the Death Trilogy that we're in right now. This is the Death Trilogy that Ted Turner is in. We've already talked about Ted Turner. Ted Turner died on the 6th of May, dead on the 4th of May. We mentioned this 2 days ago. Longtime Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voice of the New York Yankees, the great John Sterling, joins Ted Turner. That's a great pairing, man, because they're both Ted Turner, they're both old men. They're both like of the same era. They're both baseball guys. John Sterling, a Yankee. Ted Turner owned the Braves forever. That's cool. That's a cool little pairing. Who's going to join them? Ted Turner and John Sterling. How about Alex Zanardi? This is pretty good too. This is pretty good. These are like three dudes who are way into athletics and sports. Alex Zanardi, I don't know if you know who Alex Zanardi was. Alex Zanardi was a Formula One racing driver. He's 59 when he died. He had a very rough life. Alex Zanardi had half of his body amputated in an auto accident, a car accident on the track. Alex Zanardi lost both of his legs. Okay, Alex Zanardi was one of the top racers of his era, and he lost both of his legs. Alex Zanardi would then work his way back into a Formula One race car and would drive again using hand steer. He would also become the world's greatest wheelchair something player. Alex Zanardi is a competitive son of a bitch, and sadly, he died at 59 years old. Complications to all of the medical and health things that he went through. But again, tremendous documentary about Alex Zanardi. Oh my God, that one will make you cry. Alex Zanardi, the great John Sterling, voice of the Yankees, and Ted Turner, the founder of CNN and inventor of cable news. That is the 13th Death Trilogy of 2026. Who will be the 14th? We'll check in on that in maybe another month or so. All right, guys, here's what I want to do. I want to take a quick break so I can go to the bathroom and get a cup of coffee. I want to remind you we are in the middle of an absolutely tragic pledge week. I would like to thank the people who have tipped the show thus far. We didn't do a show yesterday. I told you about that. I apologize. You know how it's got to be important if I'm missing a day on Pledge Week. But so far, thank you to Barney, Frank, April, and Peter. They've been pledging this week. We're not close at all. So anything you can do to help this kind of talk radio continue for another month, that would be great. Enough on that. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, okay? And we'll come back and we're going to talk about the alien disclosure issue. We're going to talk, what else are we going to talk about? Hold on. What else? We got a bunch of stuff. We got some videos. We got some really fun videos that we're going to talk about and break down. Kash Patel. We're going to get into some Kash Patel stuff. Come on, that's not political. Well, we can't make fun of an obvious weirdo. Come on. So we'll do that. And we're also going to check back in on baseball games. Remember, this is an ongoing series of watching how people react when they receive free baseballs at games. We've gone over a grown-ass man stealing a ball from a little girl. We've gone over what was the other one? Well, we saw the flip side of the grown-ass man stealing from the little girl, where the little girl forgave him. And then now they're friends, which is good. We saw that one. What was the other one? We just saw one the other day that really made me mad. Anyway, we've got another new one. And this one will not make you mad. This is a good one. Gives a guy like me hope for the future. So we've got all that and more. Please stick with us. Please tip the show if you can, and give me about 5 minutes to run to the bathroom and get myself a fresh cup of coffee, and then we'll come back with so much more, as we do every day here. All right, we're back. We are back. Welcome to the chaos, right? Let's just say that. Welcome to the chaos, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you. Couple of things I've got to get straight here for a second. Oh, by the way, I said before the break, thank you to Frank, Barney, Peter, April. Thank you. Thank you to Leslie C. Leslie, I just saw in that break that Leslie C tipped the show today. So all right, the mics went out again. And then it happened. I was on the scene or on the screen. So I saw it go out. So that's good. So we weren't, I wasn't prattling on for like 10 minutes. Let me repeat what I just said there. Thank you to Barney and Frank and April and Peter for tipping this week during Pledge Week. You guys are awesome. And I would also like to thank Leslie C., who tipped today. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate you. Still room for more. Help the show out if you can. All right, let's get rid of that. What are we going to do here? All right, so a couple of things. I mentioned Kash Patel. Kash Patel's in the news for a couple of different reasons. One is he's blaming the local sheriff for the Nancy Guthrie situation. Remember the Nancy Guthrie one? Remember Nancy Guthrie? It was just a couple of months ago. It was all we could think about for like 3 weeks. And then we went, so nothing's going to happen with this, huh? And we just moved on. Like the New Jersey drones. We just moved on. We just, that's who we are. We get all stirred up. And then, it used to be they'd stir us up and then there'd be a payoff. They would give us the big reveal. Now they don't even give us the reveal. It's just all about the stir up. So Kash Patel, he goes on some podcast. And maybe this is why, you can draw comparisons to Kash Patel and other heads of the FBI. And you could say, well, they never acted like that. But again, and this is the only offering I would have on Kash Patel's defense, is that he's in a different era. That I don't know that Robert Mueller had access to, podcasts 5 times a day. Maybe the head of the FBI should stay away from podcasts, right? Maybe. Because it isn't like back when, other people were leading the FBI, Hoover or whoever the hell finished him. It's not like they went on the Tonight Show. It's not like these bureaucrats who ran these important governmental institutions. It's not like these people were like, and my next guest tonight leads the world's largest law enforcement agency. Please welcome James Comey, or, that's not a thing. So maybe my defense of Kash Patel, that he is the first FBI director to exist in the world of podcasts. That doesn't hold water, because it's not like they were doing radio interviews and all that stuff before. He's just a different kind of guy. So he went on a podcast and just basically threw the county police under the bus on the whole Nancy Guthrie deal. Oh, hold on. Time out. My kid is texting me. Oh, my kid is not just texting me. My kid is blowing me up. Okay. Okay. I don't know why he sent me that. I don't know. Just my kid. He just sent me that old pic. He's here. He sent me this. See if you can see the picture. Wait, is there a number? I don't want anybody to have his number. Yeah, okay. There's no number. My kid just sent me a picture of Tom Cruise, and it says Tom Cruise looking like Norm Macdonald. All right. That's an old one, but he's just discovered it. That picture's from about 5 years ago. I believe that was a San Francisco Giants baseball game, postseason game. Tom Cruise was there. Nobody recognized him. We're like, oh my God. Where was I? Kash Patel. So he went on this podcast and he threw the county police and the state police there in where was it now? New Mexico, under the bus. He's just like, yeah, they suck. Actually, we got it. We can listen to it. Why not? Since I'm talking about it, why not play it now? It just seems very inappropriate for the leader of the FBI to be so casually, not my fault. I didn't do it. It wasn't me, But again, we're talking about a guy who is definitely embattled. He's a guy who for quite some time now, people have been smart money, been placed on him being the next guy to be fired from this administration. So here, let's check this out. This is Kash Patel blaming
What we, the FBI,
other
do is say, hey,
people
the first 48
for
hours,
Nancy Guthrie.
The first 48 hours of anyone's disappearance are the most critical. And here's how these cases works. It is a state matter. It's a state and local law enforcement matter. What we, the FBI, do is say, hey, we're here to help. What do you need? What can we do? And for 4 days, we were kept out of the investigation. And when we were fired...
You know what? Fuck this guy. I'm sorry. I just can't. The leader of the FBI, first of all, what is this outfit you're wearing? Okay? You look... Saturday night at the Jaja Lounge. What is this outfit for the director of the FBI? First of all, those other cops, they suck. It's not us. We're great. It's so undignified. And if you don't see how undignified this is for the leader of the FBI, sadly, you're undignified. And there's a whole bunch of people who just have absolutely no fucking idea what is and isn't appropriate. We got the president of the United States showing a picture of what the UFC cage is going to look like in the back fucking garden. Are you insane? What? These people have no idea what is appropriate and what isn't. Seriously, the president held up a picture yesterday in the Oval Office. It had the depiction of what the UFC cage is going to look like when the White House hosts a cage fight. The White House is hosting a cage fight. Now, let me just kind of put this into context for you. Imagine 10 years ago. No, you know what? Let's not do that cheap thing. Let's not do the cheap thing where, what if Obama did it? Imagine if this was W. Imagine if this was W, W had the whole 9/11 thing, and he had the sense to know that something like that, the circuses for the peasants might not play well. So my point is this. Could you imagine if somebody made a joke years ago about, in the White House, they're going to have tractor pulls? That would be a joke. You'd be like, oh, that's crazy. Like, could you imagine tractor pulls? Oh my God, what's next? UFC fights? Like, you would have made that joke. In that reality, you'd have made that joke. What's next? Tractor pulls? It's absurd. It sounds absurd. And this president is actually doing it. Whoa, why does that bother you? Why does it bother me? If you have to ask me why, as a proud American leader of the free world, why that bothers me, again, let's go back to maybe you also have no dignity. You have no... Anyway, there you have it. He's blaming people. I don't want to go in on Kash Patel because I got a much bigger story that I want to talk about that he's also tangentially related to. The other story concerning Kash Patel is, remember the woman for The Atlantic a couple of weeks ago who wrote that story about how he's a drunk and everybody in the office knows that he's a drunk and he freaked out after he couldn't get into his government account and thought he'd been fired and all that. Remember that woman? Okay, so that woman wrote that story. That's a big story. That woman wrote that story. That woman's now being investigated by the FBI. Right out in the open. Right out in the open. Right out in the open. Just because they can get away with it, because this kind of stuff is now normalized. Somebody in the press says something someone in power doesn't like, and that person in power can then rally their forces and investigate you. Put you in a gulag. Slippery slope. Normalization of these ideas. You people are allowing this to happen. Not all of you, probably not most of you that are here in this chat room, but a lot of our friends. Whatever, it's not a big deal. So do you know how that reporter responded to being investigated? She doubled down, and there was a news story in The Atlantic about how not only is he a suspected alcoholic, but he gives branded Kash Patel bourbon to all of his friends. Let me show you a bottle of this. Okay, so Kash Patel, he had made up Woodford Reserve, which, maybe if you want to boycott a liquor, Woodford Reserve would be, one you might want to reserve or boycott. Me, I'm boycotting that anyway, because quite frankly, bourbons are trash. Hi, I like Irish whiskeys and scotches. Bourbons are trash for people who can't handle the kickback. I need some sweetness in my whiskey. Can you make it with corn and maybe some fruit? Whatever. Bourbon. Ugh. Jack Daniels. Ugh. Is that a bourbon or a whiskey? Jack Daniels is a whiskey. Whatever. I like scotches that kick you in the nuts. I like Irish whiskeys that don't give a shit about how it's supposed to taste because it's supposed to taste like gasoline. Does it give you a hangover? No, scotches and Irish whiskeys do not give me a hangover. Why? Because it's just pure fire and hell. That's all. It's just pure. You get these bourbons, you get these Tennessee whiskeys, you get these sour mashes, you get Southern Comfort. What is that? Spent my whole life thinking Southern Comfort was some kind of whiskey. It's not. It's like a cocktail. Like the world's sweetest cocktail. Anyway, point is this. Kash Patel gives out these bottles to people. This is from the Atlantic. The girl who got investigated. She's like, yeah, you want to know what else? Yeah, he's a drunk. Look what he gives out. So, like, how does he give that? He gives us out the friends. They talked about how there was a tradition under Hoover at the FBI that people, dignitaries, whatever, who would visit the FBI back in the 1930s would receive this J. Edgar Hoover little fingerprint kit. Because in the 1930s, fingerprints were the height of technology, and it was an innovation that was pushed by Hoover himself. So the fingerprinting is Hoover's great innovation with law enforcement. So if you visited the FBI in the 30s and met with Hoover or whatever, you would leave with this cool little Hoover pack. Now, Kash Patel has brought that back, the idea of the leader of the FBI giving gifts to people who come and visit him. And Kash's gift is this. You can see it. It is the Director Kash Patel bourbon bottle. Again, nothing particularly wrong with this. It does seem a bit 70s and 80s. So, you'd give guys a bottle. Thanks for helping me dig my car out of the snow. What do you drink? I'm going to get you a bottle, right? Something that used to be done among men. Not so common anymore because every other person's an alcoholic. Probably because everybody grew up getting bottles for every little everyday thing they did for someone else. Took your garbage out. Oh, here's another bottle of vodka. Thanks, glug, glug. So we don't do that anymore, but Kash still does because he's a throwback alpha. And it's just a bad look. It's just for a guy who spends every weekend in Vegas. He takes that jet every weekend to Vegas and he spends his time in this like real exclusive luxury lounge. He does it every weekend. Pugs, that can't possibly be true. He does it every weekend. There are multiple stories that track his flights. Sometimes he tries to cover it with, well, I'm just going to support my girlfriend. He goes to Vegas every weekend. As the director of the FBI. This is the serious person that anyway. So for a guy like that, who's already, in the spotlight for being, incompetent and now probably drunk, unrelated to, that's the most shocking thing. Sober Kash Patel is probably incompetent. All right. So, lean into it, I guess. Bad luck. So, congratulations to that Atlantic reporter. She writes the story. They retaliate against her legally with law enforcement. And then what does she do? She doubles down the next day and puts the story out. Oh, yeah? Look at this. These are the Kash Patel bottles this drunk ass gives to people. Bring it. All right. So that's it for Kash Patel. Until we get to him again, because we're going to have another little Kash Patel thing as it relates to the biggest story in human history, a story that is so big that I waited till after my break in today's show to bring it up. I should call it potentially the biggest story in human history, and that is disclosure. Oh, I'm not on the chat room. I'm sorry, guys. I like to try and stay with y'all here in the chat room. All right, Barney outing himself. It's what I like about Barney. Barney says, I like Southern Comfort and cinnamon schnapps. I call it a fuzzy blanket. And then he tells on himself. He says, I drink like a junior high girl. Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing. I get it. I mean, if I was, I guess, a normal biological human, maybe I would be able to enjoy those fruity drinks and shit like that. But any bit of sugar in my alcohol, and I have a headache in the morning. Now, that's been a real problem because Southern Comfort is something that I will never drink again. Because once when I was a dumb 19, 20, 21-year-old, don't even know what I was at a frat party, and all we brought was Southern Comfort. So we were drinking Southern Comfort straight out of the bottle. I've never been so sick. Never been so sick the next morning. I'm like, blah. Orange. Like vomiting orange. I'm like, I thought this was whiskey. Too sweet. So I got to drink like, straight vodka. I don't do mixers. The only thing that I can kind of handle is I can do one or two of like a Jameson and ginger ale, right? I can do one or two of those before it just starts getting too sweet. That's the other problem with sweet alcohol. I like it to be terrible. That's how I don't drink too much of it. I can still be social and I can hold my scotch glass filled with one, you fill it up halfway and that'll last me the entire party because it's just sipping. I've told you about my little gig that I like to do. What I do is I two-fisted. I want people to think that I'm here for the duration by two-fisting. So I'll always have a cold beer in my hand, but then in my other hand, I'll always have like a thing of whiskey. And the beer is really not what I'm drinking. The beer is probably at this point warm, and I'm going to set it down somewhere and walk away from it, The whiskey is pretty much what I'm sipping, and that's what I'll sip all night. The beer is just for show. Hey, how you doing? Like that. Interesting dilemma, though, because, one of the things that we're supposed to do, hold on. Frankie says he likes all the brown liquors. All right, there you go. So one of these things about civilized society that I believe that we must, and I used to call people out on it all the time. If you go to a party, if you go to someone's party, if somebody invites you over, yeah, we're having people over, it's a housewarming, blah, 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 it's a birthday, blah, 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 it's, Sam got a promotion, blah, 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 whatever, you're going over to somebody's house, you're having a party. You bring a bottle. 100% of the time, you bring a bottle. Even if it's just a bottle of wine, even if you just got to stop by, whatever, the liquor store and buy like a $10 bottle of wine, you bring a bottle. And when you walk in, you present the bottle to whoever greets you. Okay. And then that bottle disappears. It goes off into the house. It is not your bottle. Okay. So at the end of the night, you don't get to go, I'm taking my bottle home. I mean, you can. People do, but it is the cringiest thing. Like, who the fuck raised you? You showed up at these people's party. They put out hors d'oeuvres. They provided you a place to so, and you're taking back your $15 bottle? You don't do that. You leave the bottle. Now, here's the other trick with the bottle. This is one my mom taught me. If you've got a particular drink, like in my case, I like Jameson, right? If I'm going to be at a party and I'm going to do that thing where I'm walking around double fisting and I'm going to be sipping, I'm going to probably be wanting to be sipping some Jameson. A lot of places can't be counted on to just have Jameson. It's a specific kind of whiskey. So that's what I will bring. I will show up with the bottle that I'm hoping they have. And if they don't, there's a bottle there of what I like to drink. And then I can start drinking my bottle. But again, at the end of the night, I don't pocket it and walk out. That's not okay. So here's the question. Here's the question for the new generation that doesn't drink. Do those rules apply for weed? Like if you show up at a party and you're like, I brought some shrooms, like you got to leave them shrooms, right? That's a question for younger people than me, I guess. All right, now let's move on to the biggest question humanity has ever faced. And that is, of course, the question of, are we alone? You know me, you guys know me. This is not something that I shove down anybody's throats, but if you catch me, and we're talking, we get into this subject, I'm probably going to dazzle you with some crazy things you've never heard before. I am a great believer in intelligent life in the universe. Great believer. As a matter of fact, I'm a no doubter. I'm like, there's no doubt to me. I have, over the course of my time in radio, I've told a story that is foundational in why I believe this. Happened to me when I was very young. There have been residual effects from this thing that happened when I was very young throughout my life. And again, I'm not going to go into crazy details, but whatever, we all have life experiences. And this is something that I think I've told this story like 3 times. I think I told it once on the Kevin Matthews show when I was very young. This was like in the early 90s when I was insane and everybody's like, you're crazy. Yeah, bullshit. Everybody told it back in the 90s. I think I touched on it with Pugs and Kelly once. I think we talked about it briefly, but I was very, very Kelly knew the story. Kelly's heard the story a million times. And Kelly once said to a girlfriend of mine about this particular story, she said, I don't know. I've heard him talk about it a lot and it never changes. And I thought that was like a really good, like Kelly was basically saying like, I don't know if it's true, but he seems to really believe it. And he's consistent in the telling of the story. And then, on this very stream, when we were doing it at night, I think I got drunk. I think I got drunk and went, let's do this story. And we did this story. But there is something that happened to me in my life that has been foundational in the way I look at the question, are we alone? I don't believe we are. Again, don't even think it's a question. Yet, for a large part of my life, again, haven't been able to really talk about that stuff because we were crazy. Anybody who brought that up can't be trusted with anybody serious. Anybody who actually thinks this cannot get a promotion. Anybody who thinks this can't fly an airplane anymore. Anybody who thinks this can't be made a lieutenant or a captain or whatever. So everybody, and you got to ask yourself, why is that? If you believe like I do in programming of the peasantry, which is the act of taking things that are abnormal and normalizing them in everyday life through just repetition and familiarity. That's basically what programming is. If you believe in that the way I do, then you have to look at you're crazy to think there's aliens. You have to look at that as some kind of programming that was put out there. You know, they put serious people on TV who would mock anybody who would bring this up. I believe that was by design. I don't know if this all dates back to Roswell. There are a great many people who seem to know a thing or two about the UFO discussion, and they all say that here in America, at least, all of the things that we are talking about today date back to 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico. Maybe, maybe not. I think it goes way back. I'll tell you this. I think here's something that me and Christians can agree on. You know me, I'm a big fan of Jesus. I don't think Jesus was human. And Christians would be like, yeah, of course he wasn't human. Like, yeah, what was he? See, this is where we diverge. This is where, I mean, I just think that if there is intelligent life out there, and if you believe that the intelligent life that is out there is obviously far more advanced than we are, because again, it gets into this situation where we can't even launch a rocket 10 out of 10 times to get to the freaking moon. And yet these people, this intelligence, this other thing, they've been watching us. So they're obviously far more advanced than we are. And wouldn't it make sense that if they did from time to time try to right the ship, try to help humanity, try to guide them from self-destruction, which may be in our human DNA? Eric Donikin, Chariots of the Gods. That is a book that was very popular, came out in the 1960s. And the idea behind the book, Eric Donikin says, is that throughout the course of human history, there have been alien interference that has changed or moved humanity forward. You can just look at the internet revolution and go, where the fuck did that come from? Where did suddenly that wasn't a thing and now it's a thing? Einstein in the theory of relativity, all of that stuff. Industrial revolution, Henry Ford, an alien or whatever. And I don't know how it works. I don't know if these people know aliens or whatever, or if, they come to them in their sleep and plant these ideas. But that's always been sort of my feeling about it, that we are not alone, because it is not possible that we are alone. I mean, the arrogance and the narcissism of humanity to, on the one hand, accept that the universe is ever expanding and larger than we will ever understand, on the one hand, and then on the other hand go, and we're the only ones. That is why? Because we're monkeys. Because we're monkeys who still can't get off the pad 10 out of 10 times. So obviously, if we can't see it, it's not a thing. So if we can't do it, then nobody else can, and we're alone thereby, vis-a-vis, blah, blah, blah. It's like that question. I see people, this is the great, I've seen it. I don't know who put this out, but obviously the bots are being fed this question because I've seen it by like at least 15 different accounts, the exact same question that's being posed right now. If aliens are real, how come they've never visited us? Huh? I'm like, whoa. Woo. First of all, that's a stupid person. That's a crazy stupid question. Can you see what's wrong with that question? If aliens are real, then how come they haven't visited us? Well, what makes you think that if they're real, that you would be informed as to when they're coming and going? Well, that is a real faulty argument that stupid people will go, yeah, I read that. If they're real, how come? What? So your contention in this argument is if they're real, then they must be like, we're here. That's your whole basis. So anyway, that's stupid. That's a stupid person trying to convince. Well, it's a smart person for some reason trying to convince stupid people to go, yeah, what about that? So disclosure has been a big topic the last couple of weeks. Oh, actually the last couple of years, if we're being honest. But in the last few weeks, this particular administration has been talking about disclosure. Disclosure is the demand of the UFO community that the government stop being so secretive and disclose all of these things that we know they have files and stuff like that that are redacted and that we don't have access to, and they're highly classified. So when you hear people talking about disclosure, what they're talking about is the longstanding UFO movement to get the government to at least acknowledge that these things exist. And then secondly, reveal them and let us know what it is that you thought we couldn't know. That's what disclosure is about. And there has been great movement globally in the last couple of years regarding disclosure. And by movement, I mean, for the first time ever, we are seeing heads of state. We are seeing generals and admirals and heads of foreign nations, defense departments, and all of that stuff speaking on camera in a way about this subject that they never have before. They are, and you can't say, oh, it's all just one group of people inside of America trying to make this, a distraction issue. That might be what's happening now, and we'll get to that in a moment. But for the previous year, it has been disparate government officials and people with real knowledge about what the world actually knows about this that have been openly speaking. And they haven't been shouted down and mocked, and they're not up there in crazy bow ties and silly haircuts and going, they're real and they're watching us. No, they've been showing up in military uniforms. They've been showing up in suits and ties with their resumes that have, all kinds of advanced degrees and all kinds of things. These are serious people for the very first time ever talking about this and talking about what they believe. And these very serious people suddenly believe exactly what we crazy people have been saying. I think there's something to it. So that's been the movement of the last year or so. There have been hearings on the Hill, serious hearings on the Hill. We've seen the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, appeared in the film Disclosure. By the way, it's a documentary that everybody should see. Everybody should see this. It's new. It came out a couple of months ago. I talked about it. But now that the United States government is taking these things seriously, maybe you people should see Disclosure. And when you do, you're going to be like, holy fuck. That's the Secretary of State of the United States talking about what he's seen and what he believed. Marco Rubio, the guy who earlier today I was saying, yeah, he seems like the most rational of these guys. Marco Rubio is like, yeah, no, this is serious. So let's shift it now to America. America, on this day, May the 7th, 2026, we are apparently being prepped for something that they are telling us is going to be full disclosure. Now, it's not going to be full disclosure. And I told you this before. I am very angry about it happening now because I do not believe in any of our institutions. I do not believe that the guy who is the president of the United States is going to release this stuff because he believes humanity has a right to know. And we are going to forge alliances moving forward into the future. That is not why this president is even remotely interested in this. I know for a fact this president is interested in this only because it's another one of these shiny objects that will be just another one of the many distractions that this guy is all about. So why now, right? I'm like, why now? Anything this government says about UFOs, I will not believe. And the real troubling part is that all of the people, Stephen Greer, Admiral Gallaudet, these are people who are very important in the movement, very serious people. All of these people are like, no, time out. They're not going to give us the real, they're going to give us whatever it is that they think they can control us with. That's what they're going to give us. So I don't know, man. Now comes the big story of this week where apparently a number of the most influential pastors in America were called together for a meeting, an official meeting by the United States government, where these pastors were advised to begin to prepare their congregations for disclosure. And look, I don't even know if this is a real meeting. It certainly has taken on very strong legs online. A lot of people are talking about, there's videos dropping everywhere. Oh yeah, I was at the meeting and they told me that they're interdimensional beings who live under the water. You know, it's all of these crazy, distracting things. Fabulous things. Ugh. So I don't know what to believe. Anyway, let's watch some of this. Here, I've got some videos. Actually, the most recent one. Let's do the most recent one. I think that it's this come to us Rogan today, right? This is brand new Joe Rogan. I haven't listened to this yet. So we'll be hearing it for the first time, but this is Joe Rogan on the whole disclosure thing. This was posted, I believe this is earlier. Is this earlier today? I don't know. Who's he talking to? Rep Tim Burchett. All right, Burchett's one of the UFO guys. Hold on. Here's Joe Rogan from earlier today on this subject of disclosure that Trump keeps saying that I'm about to tell everybody. Oh, great. The least trustworthy man is about to deliver the most important news in human history. Here we go. This is, I guess, Joe Rogan from today, or maybe not, but it was posted today and I hadn't seen it before. So here we go.
Thank you for having me, brothers. Big honor.
Thank you. An honor for me, too. Very excited about this. Very
Yes,
excited to talk to you. There's so many different things to discuss. So do you know what is going to be released? So supposedly this is the week of some kind of disclosure. Can you give us any insight as to what's going on?
Oddly enough, I got a call that tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be briefed over the phone by, I think, one of Hegseth's top dogs.
Okay, so this is new. This is this week, and this might be from today's show. And Joe opened up with, can you tell us about what this disclosure is? And I'm already out because he already mentioned Hegseth. So I'm already out. That guy is not going to be the messenger of the most transformational news in human history. He's just not.
Is going to go over some stuff with me that they've got, and I have no earthly idea. I don't want everybody to get their hopes up. I don't have a lot of faith in our government. President Trump's always been great to me. He's never lied to me, but I don't know that he knows the right questions to ask and the right people to talk to, because
he's trying to play nice, but he's basically saying that Trump's a lying idiot. Trump is a lying idiot. I'm going to say it in the nicest way possible because, I guess we're okay. But thank you. This guy is out there saying exactly what I said. This is unfortunate that this is the man that has been entrusted with potentially revealing this information and that nobody can trust him. It's just going to complicate things even worse. All right, more of Tim Burchett.
Dogs is going to go over some stuff with me that they've got, and I have no earthly idea. I don't want everybody to get their hopes up. I don't have a lot of faith in our government. President Trump's always been great to me. He's never lied to me, but I don't know that he knows the right questions to ask and the right people to talk to, because, this thing's been covered up at least since 1947, and I just don't think they don't give up that easy. The war pimps at the Pentagon and everybody else, they just don't give up that easy.
All right. Do I have any thoughts on that? I think he's right. I think that this is a distraction. It is. They know that it'll get big headlines if the White House makes any kind of comment on this. And, it's a way to control another week's worth of the news cycle with nonsense. God, I hate this. This is terrible. Okay, so let's listen to some other things. That was just from earlier today. How about Kash himself? Here's Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, doing another podcast where he's waxing poetic now about what's probably going to happen. Kash Patel, of course, the FBI, you would think that he might know something. Well, chief law enforcement
life
guy.
on other planets that may be visible. The idea
Here he is with Hannity.
that there would be life on other planets that may be visited here that would not at all shock or surprise me. Have you ever looked into it?
We're looking at it. Here.
So now suddenly, very casually, Sean Hannity is like, it wouldn't surprise me. I've believed in my whole life. I'm not one of these people, a part of the old machinery that would do anything they could to my... I'm Sean Hannity. I'm doing Fox News, and we're going to do a story on a UFO. And I'm going to do it with a shit-eating grin on my face and rolling my eyes the whole time. But now in 2026, because it seems to be serving me in this podcast universe, I've always believed. F you, Sean Hannity. We don't need no UFO bandwagon jumpers. All right, let's listen to what the lead law enforcement agent in the United States has to say about this.
Here's the thing.
At all shock or surprise me. Have you ever looked into it?
We're looking at it. Here's the thing. Again.
Okay, I want all the details.
Here's the thing. Every other president before President Trump could have said, hey, let's look at that and get the American people the information. What did he do? He stood up.
God, again, it's not about the most earth-shattering news ever. It's about how brave Trump is for taking this issue on. Oh my God. Fudge.
An interagency process with Department of War leading that effort to get out the documentation related to everything that you're talking about, not just from the FBI.
Department of War. Do we have a Department of Science? Why are we going in all aggressive? Why is this? There's a Department of War, because obviously we can't have a Department of Science. Can't have Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. Those aren't people in real life. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Contact. there are two people in real life that do the job that Matthew McConaughey and Jodie Foster did in that. Instead, it's got to be Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth.
From the IC and everywhere else. And so what do?
The whole purpose of Contact was that they made alien contact, and the two people that they sent to make first alien contact was a scientist in Jodie Foster and a preacher in Matthew McConaughey, a Christian preacher who was sent to try and connect with them through decency and moral values. We're sending Hegseth. Hegseth and Sydney Sweeney. That's who they're going to send.
Already delivered our first tranche of information to that committee, and they're going to be publicly releasing this information very soon. We are all for it. There's nothing.
2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? Are they going to release it in 2 weeks?
In this subject that we're talking about that we don't want released. Our job at the FBI is to work with the White House and DOW, give them the information, and then they're going to put.
I just can't with him. I don't like the suits. I don't like the casual manner of the leader of the FBI. I don't like any of it. All right, here's Admiral Gallaudet. This is another one of these guys. This comes to us straight from Real News. Fox News. A major news platform. This is Fox News. This is Admiral Timothy Gallaudet. This is one of the legitimate guys. This is a real man. Not an alien. It's a real man, an admiral, a serious individual who has for years been having experiences. And now Admiral Gallaudet is one of the guys that we look to. One of the guys that's like, okay, what does Gallaudet say? So here's Gallaudet, a very serious man who has been talking about this issue for a very long time. Here he is on Fox News talking about this idea of disclosure.
My next guest has been outspoken on UFOs. He says aliens are not on the way, they are already here. Joining me now is retired Navy Admiral and oceanographer Timothy Gallaudet. Admiral, thank you for being with us here today. So I think that in any one of these conversations, we need to start with
I should say, though, Gallaudet, his whole thing, he believes that the ocean is where they are. He believes they've been here all along. Yeah, we see them in the sky and all that stuff. But the reason they're not setting up in forests where hikers are stumbling is because they're in the ocean. That these alien beings seem to come from the ocean, come out of the ocean. So that's basically what he has always said. By the way, totally believe that. Totally believe that. I've seen enough of the, gun sight video from planes and military vehicles that have tracked these things, and we have seen them dive into the water. We've seen them dive under the water, disappear, and then come back out in the water and then shoot up and disappear out into space. It's not AI. This is before AI. This shit's been around for a while, and these are all the things that we're supposedly going to be getting explanations for through disclosure.
Serious person. I mean, you were an admiral. I think that in any one of these conversations, we need to start with, you're a serious person.
Yes.
I mean, you were an admiral in the United States Navy, and you have spoken to many people in the United States military about what they have seen, correct?
That's correct, Will. And really, the bottom line here from the president promising to release these UFO files is an open admission that the U.S. government has been in possession of UFO data, videos, information, and material evidence for over 8 decades. And I recently joined a number of former government officials in this recently released documentary, The Age of Disclosure. One of those officials includes...
That's it. That's the movie you all need to see. Before you roll your eyes and all that stuff, you guys need to see the very serious documentary, Age of Disclosure.
The current Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio.
Okay, so, Admiral, what do you have? What do you know to back up your claim that we have had UFO material? And does that include, is that organic material? Is that beings? Is that mechanical, technological? What do you know? How can you back up that claim?
Well, I've not seen those, Will, myself, but of course there's been others who've testified, including David Grush in 2024, about having knowledge of the programs.
David Grush is real.
That keep that material classified and secure. And I know other officials who have touched those programs and been allowed access, and they're all very credible, and they're in this film I mentioned previously.
But you have said you believe that aliens are already here, haven't you? Have you not? You believe they're what? Walking amongst us in captivity?
Maybe.
I
don't know that much. I do know that there are non-human intelligence is that at a higher order than us that are operating these craft, and we don't really know their intentions right now. But we have proof that they exist, and as you mentioned, we're seeing more proof of that of them possibly residing in our oceans. Just today, I spoke with a retired Navy captain submariner who witnessed in 1983 an underwater object that moved at speeds that we can't reproduce, and that he was not able to confirm was an adversary. It was an unknown.
Admiral, when you say we have evidence that they are, I think, what did you just say to me? They're under the sea. They've been under the sea, something like that. What is...
Oh, this is the video on the right here of one of the things diving into the water. I don't know if we already missed it, but...
Is the evidence? Is it the video, some of which we're playing on our screen right now? Videos we've seen, things that appear to be diving under the ocean. Is it testimony? What is the evidence you've seen that you have found so compelling?
Well, it's all of that, Will. Some of these videos have been leaked, like from the USS Omaha, a Navy ship in 2019 that was operating in Southern California.
Again, why are these videos so shitty? I asked this question with the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. Why was the initial closed-circuit video that was released so shitty? And then they're like, no, we actually have good cameras. And then we released the HD version. Why are these gun sights on these military planes using camera technology from 1972? What is happening here?
And off Southern California. And then, of course, I've had eyewitnesses come to me, former submarine officers and acoustic intelligence specialists who observed on sonar objects that they can't explain and that our undersea assets can't reproduce.
Okay, last question for you, Admiral. Do you think we're going to learn anything through this promised disclosure from President Trump or, as mentioned by Kash Patel?
I'm hopeful. The president's going to follow through on his word and release more information. I think the American people deserve to know the nature of reality and the fact that we're not alone and being visited by these non-human intelligences. So I'd like to see.
All right, let's stop it right there. The American people deserve to know. Yeah, the American people going to handle a shift in their reality real well. Oh, please. I remember when we asked them to wear masks to stop the spread of it. Oh, I'm sure we're going to handle this shift in reality real well. How do I exploit it? How do I know, man, this is where I need to be. I don't know. I got to figure out a way to exploit that because people are going to exploit it. Okay, so now the American people, not just the American people. The most interesting aspect of this is the first wave of stories from about 48 hours ago now, where we learned that apparently a bunch of high-profile pastors, although I got to be honest, all of the pastors who are doing viral videos about how they were invited to this meeting, this top secret military meeting about UFOs and how they need to prepare their congregations for the news that we're not alone, right? Okay, so all of these dudes who made videos, I never heard of any of them. Like, none of them seem to be like really big mega church pastors. They all seem to be dudes that would do this to, to get clicks for attention. So I don't know what to believe. America's Christian pastors are not, in my view, some of the most reputable individuals that we can choose from. They're just not. And neither is anybody in the Trump government. So, but why would they bring the pastors? This is, in my estimation, the reason why they haven't told us for so long. Religion. What happens to your religion when you learn that you are not the only species of sentient being? We humans believe that we are special because we are created in our God's image. Our God looks like us. So what happens when we're all now forced to think about other civilizations, other sentient beings? And then we must ask the follow-up, well, who's their God? And if we were created in the image of our God and they're fucking lizard people or whatever, have we been lied to? Or even worse yet, what if there are multiple gods? And what if our God is nowhere near as powerful as their God? So that's why the world's religions and why this was leaked, that the pastors have all been called to a meeting to prepare their congregations, because that, my God, think about that. Now, most hardcore religious people who their entire lives are constructed around the brand of them being the church lady or the church deacon or whatever. You know, these people, they're the ones that are super Jesus-y. They're the ones who read the Bible in the break room at work. Those people, I think they're going to just double down, because their entire reality, their entire life is based on this promise that they are the children of their God. So they will not allow themselves to think. So, that's always been the explanation that I've accepted for why is this even a cover-up? Wouldn't you think that we would want to know if we were alone? Wouldn't you think that an open understanding that we're not alone could lead to all kinds of incredible advancements? And, but because we are human beings, and because we are narcissists, and because we have convinced ourselves that we are the center of the universe, this news changes everything, and we can't accept it. Let me see. Do I have any of these preachers? I think I might have a preacher or two saying some nonsense. Yeah, no, I don't. Anyway, oh, wait, here it is. Is this it? Pastors called to a meeting. Yeah, all right. So look, here's one more video. That's right. I wanted to show this one. Sorry. Whoop, sorry. All right, let's play this. This is UFO guy. What's his name? I don't see his name here, and I don't recognize him, but I did think that this was an interesting post and an interesting point on this. Here we go. Let's watch this. UFO guy talking about what we're about to get.
I'm seeing a bizarrely large number of religious people getting on top of their platform and proclaiming to everyone that there are no aliens, or that if there are, they're actually demons. And I find it extremely disheartening. And then the reason I find it disheartening is because...
Can I just dive into that for a minute? So again, many religious people out there are saying that there are no other alien life. There is no alien. We do not believe in alien life. But on the off chance that there is alien life, they're demons. So what they're saying is they know they don't exist. But if they're wrong about that, they are certain that they are demons. Again, another faulty premise designed to trick stupid people into going, that sounds right. That sounds right. Don't think about it too much, but that sounds right. Let's go with that. They're demons. So you don't know what they are, but you're going to start out with them being evil. And our Defense Department is, working up a war plan for it. Maybe we shouldn't know. Maybe this is why they're keeping their distance. They're like, these people are fucking monkeys. We honestly, unless we're just going to kill them all, and we don't want to do that, because we could have done that for centuries, millennia. We're an ant farm. That's what we are. We're an ant farm, and they're like, Jesus. And every once in a while, they're going to pick up the ant farm, and some kid's going to shake it. Maybe that's what happened with the Ice Age. Who knows? But we're an ant farm.
You are the same people.
That's what happened with the Ice Age. Some alien kid who we are just an ant farm to them. Some alien kid left us outside in the alien winter. You left the toy in the backyard and it snowed and then the Ice Age came and everybody died on Earth. We're just ants in an ant farm. That is something that you cannot, because of the narcissistic nature of humanity, we cannot even contemplate. But we are. And by the way, don't worry about it. Like 1 minute to them is like 1,000,000 years to us. Everything is scaled down, slowed down. So yeah, we're an ant farm that this, 6-year-old alien kid has had for 2 billion years. 2 billion years to this kid is like, 2 weeks. He's had for 2 weeks. All right, let's continue with this guy.
That want to, and I find it extremely disheartening. And then the reason I find it disheartening is because you are the same people that want to convince me that your worldview is true. And yet, as an outsider, all I see is someone that lacks the critical thinking chops to recognize that they don't know what they don't know.
Thank you.
And so, if you're objective...
What was that great Donald Rumsfeld quote? We know what we don't know. What they don't know is what we know, what they don't think I know. Rumsfeld had some great quote about that. And I think essentially he was trying to say, we don't know what we don't know. We know that we don't know, whatever it is. That great saying. Knowing what you don't know is important. Okay, so that's basically what this guy is saying.
Objective thinking chops to recognize that they don't know what they don't know. And so, if your objective is to persuade people to your assessment of what's true, then one of the worst things you could probably do is proclaim something that you can't possibly know, because what it conveys
demons
and communicates to the outsider is that when you reached your conclusion about your religion, maybe you weren't thinking very critically. After all, if you can say they are not aliens, or you can say that if they are, they're demons, then maybe that same degree of competency was applied when you decided that your religion is true, and that does not inspire confidence.
All right, no, it most certainly does not. Look, people in the church, we're passing the hat, so as you dig down into your pockets and give us money you can't afford to give us, we're going to tell you that the aliens, they ain't real. They ain't real. Oh, but if they are, demons. And people are just like, I'm going to give more money for that because I'm stupid. Because I just listened to the preacher man. He's important. Oh, he's not. He's a con man. He's a con man that every community in America, every rural community in America has elevated a con man. It's no wonder we got the president we got. They're not all con men. They're not all, but there are a lot of con men working the religious game, and you people know this. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Something, let's lighten the mood. Lighten the move, shall we? Oh, how about this? Okay. All right. RFK Jr. The credibility means nothing to these people. No credibility. So RFK Jr. is in charge of our health, right? He's our health guy. He was in the Oval Office this couple of days ago. This is, a lot of people jump. You know me, I don't like to get into the petty shit. So Trump had a bunch of kids in the Oval Office a couple of days ago, and apparently, if I'm being petty, apparently he said something to a little girl that may have been a little bit, ill-advised. The little girl he's like, what do you like to do? And she's like, I like to play volleyball. And he goes, really? He goes, can you jump high? Can you spike it? And she's like, no, not really. I'm too short. And he goes, well, maybe soccer. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that exchange. But everybody, because they're so fucking petty, they're like, Trump trauma bombing a little girl, telling her, oh, stop it. You have no freaking credibility. But you know who else has no credibility? RFK Jr. Because in that very same meeting, whatever this was, an Oval Office, press gaggle, photo op for Make America Healthy Again, whatever it was, RFK Jr. was given the floor. And I just don't know what to do with this kind of shit. When somebody just gets out in front of a camera and just blatantly says shit that is nonsense in the United States of America for no other reason than to placate the man baby sitting in front of them. Listen to this. This is absurd. RFK Jr. talking about President Trump and fitness. Unbelievable.
Private cabinet meeting this morning. And he said to the cabinet, one of you has to do a 50-mile hike this weekend.
Is RFK too much coke and junk? What? All right. I hate this guy. He is such a clown. All right, so he's talking about Trump, and he's telling a story about how Trump walked into a cabinet meeting and demanded that one of the people in his cabinet this weekend has got to do a 50-mile hike. This is the kind of weird bore on the floor moment that we saw in Succession. You guys watch Succession? Do you remember when they had the corporate outing where all the top corporate guys were brought to, the big fancy summer resort, and they went on a hunt and all of that. And then at dinner, they had a big fancy dinner with all the billionaires. And then the king billionaire decided to humiliate all the other billionaires by playing a game called Bore on the Floor. That's basically a game that Trump plays all the time with his freaking cabinet. Bore on the floor. Hey, Seth, get on the floor. Sit on the corner. Humiliation. That's what this is. This is just another example of bore on the floor. Here is the guy in charge of our nation's health, apparently, which I didn't really know was a position until this guy showed up. But okay, it is now. This guy who's in charge of America's health is now playing a little game of bore on the floor with the president. Again, the president demanded that somebody in his cabinet has to go on a 50-mile hike this weekend.
A private cabinet meeting this morning, and he said to the cabinet, one of you has to do a 50-mile hike this weekend to show the American people that we're in shape. And this cabinet could have done it. We have a bunch of
50-mile hike. A 50-mile hike. Do you know what a 50-mile hike is? Well, 10,000 steps is 5 miles. You do the math. A 50-mile, how many thousand steps that is? That's absurd. Got to do somebody's got to do a 50-mile hike this weekend or you're fired. He's combining The Apprentice with bore on the floor. So let's continue with the story.
Progress on this cabinet. Pete, Scott, Sean Duffy, Linda, and Tulsi.
All right, so now he's saying that there's a lot of people in the cabinet that could do it. Tulsi could do a 50-mile. Scott, who's Scott? Scott Bessent, maybe he thinks can do it. Sean Duffy, he says can do it.
Doug Burgum.
Doug Burgum, apparently that old man, right? Doug Burgum just heard his ears ring, and he's like, I ain't doing no 50-mile hike this weekend. I'm in my 60s. Are you nuts?
And Jameson and all the rest. There's a lot of people who could probably do a 50-mile hike.
What about me?
All right, here you go. All right, so he's talking about all the people that could do a 50-mile hike, and he didn't mention the president. So now the president wants the guy in charge of health for the country to tell the entire country that the 90-year-old president who's got fucking clotted stumps for legs is perfectly capable of doing a 50-mile hike this weekend. And watch RFK Jr. just bend over.
Mention my name is and all the rest. There's a lot of people who could probably do a 50-mile hike.
What about me? You didn't mention my name. I could
This
do,
guy
I
walks
think I
9
could do.
miles.
I love that everybody jokes or everybody laughs like that's a joke. You can't even get out of this chair, fatty, and you're sitting here honestly. You think you can you think you can keep up with Tulsi Gabbard? Why does he need this? And why do people so effortlessly give it to him? This doesn't bother you. This is one of the most disqualifying characteristics that this man has. And he's got like 50 disqualifying characteristics, but this is like the most obvious one that you people don't seem to mind. It's because you're peasants. Because you're peasants who's used to cleaning the feet of the king. And so you love this idea. Oh, Trump could totally do a 50-mile hike. And this isn't petty. This isn't petty because it speaks to the entire behavior of the cabinet, which is supposed to provide a bit of a conversational counterbalance to the whims of the president. The cabinet is supposed to be a bunch of experts who are supposed to get the president's agenda done in the best way possible. They aren't supposed to be these sycophants who, before the president comes in, they go around the table and say, what's your favorite thing about this guy? How is that not disqualifying for you people?
This cabinet could have done it. We have a bunch of thoroughbreds on this cabinet. Pete and Scott and Sean Duffy and Linda and Tulsi and Doug Burgum and Jameson and all the rest. There's a lot of people who could probably do a 50-mile hike.
What about me? You didn't mention my name. I could
This
do,
guy walks
think I could
9
do-
miles a day on a
I could
golf
do-
course every weekend.
Without even a thought, RFK Jr. just deep-throated the president right there. Without even laughing, without even considering that it was a joke, because he knows how vain and narcissistic this man is. So he wouldn't even joke. He's like, this guy walks 9 miles on a golf course. Lie. He uses a cart everywhere. He can't walk. He has some kind of issue that they are trying to keep hidden from the American public. They are keeping his move. When he does walk, remember, he walks in a circle because he seems like he's got one leg shorter than the other. And without even the guy that we're supposed to trust, the reason that parents are not getting their kids vaccinated because of the shit this guy says, this guy is now going to make the argument that this 99-year-old president with fucking tree stumps for legs can do a 50-mile hike. And we're all supposed to just be like, yeah. They're not joking. He's literally telling the American public that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., believes that the president could do a 50-mile hike. And it's absurd.
There's a lot of people who could probably do a 50-mile hike.
What about me? You didn't mention my name. I could
This
do,
guy walks
think I could
9
do-
miles a day on a
I could
golf
do-
course every weekend, so he could do it in the breeze.
when I'm not using the car.
He could do it in a breeze. This guy walks 9 miles a day on a golf cart. Okay, first of all, that's not a good thing for the president of the United States to be leading with. Every day I do 9 miles. I golf for 9 miles every day. I hate these people. I don't even hate these people. I can't even, begrudge them. They saw an opportunity and they seized it. I hate we, the people, because once again, every situation that we find ourselves in, there's always somebody conveniently posed to take the blame. But ultimately, it's us. It's we, the people, who elect these people, who enable these kinds of policies, who enable these types of people to rise to the very top. We do that. We do. Start taking responsibility. We the people. All right, what else do we have here? Okay. All right, yeah, I'll show you this. I don't really know if this is a segment or anything, but is this true? I didn't know that this was true. So I saw this. I don't understand how this works. Now, some of you might understand what this is, but it's a woman. She went viral. And she went viral because apparently she bought a printer for her home office. And she bought the printer, and she bought the printer cartridges. Remember the old bubble jets? right? It was the printer cartridge that was always the thing. They'd get you $50 a cartridge. It was crazy. Paper's cheap. The bubble jet itself was pretty affordable, but then they'd get you on the cartridges, and we kind of understood that. That was normalized for us. Accepted it, whatever. It's how it is. So listen to this woman talking about the new printer that she purchased. And again, guys, I don't know. I'm going to need the chat room to tell me, is this true? Is this a real thing? Because I am unfamiliar with this new modern...
Okay, listen to me.
Hold on. New modern practice. Here it is. This woman bought a printer. Let's have her explain it. Chat room, is this true?
I just tried to print something from my printer that I own. My printer that I own with ink that I purchased, and paper. And I can't print without a subscription plan.
What?
The concept of having to have a subscription plan to print in your own home from the printer that you own that already has ink and paper in it, they remotely shut off my printer until I paid $7.50 to print in my own home.
Is that real? And I don't have a printer, and honestly, anything that needs, I don't need many hard copies. And if I do, I go to Kinko's or FedEx Business or whatever. So I don't really have a home printer. But is that true? Because the reason I don't have a home printer is because I got tired of we used to, when Kelly and I would do our shows, we'd print our shows out every morning. We come in with all this, and the cartridges were expensive. And then we moved to a more digital way so we could just email everything. So I don't know about the modern world of printers, but how on earth can they charge you a subscription fee to print? You're paying for the internet in your house that is connecting your computer to the printer. You paid for the printer. You paid for the printer ink. You paid for the paper. So now when you hit print, they say you need to pay a subscription. Can that possibly be real? And how has that been normalized? This woman is a hero. If this is true, and it's the first time hearing about it, this woman is an absolute hero. Maddie says, subscribe. What do you mean? Oh my God. April says, no, it's a real thing. April says, yes, it's real. She then adds, it's probably an HP. I used to have an HP. There was no subscription needed. I mean, just think of how brazen they're getting. That is how brazen these people are getting. Oh, you want to print? You can buy a printer. Oh, well, you got to be hooked up to the internet, so you're going to need to, get an internet subscription. Oh, you got paper. You're going to need paper. You got the paper. Okay, you got the internet. You got the paper. You got the printer. Ink. Probably going to need ink because I'm sure that's sold separately these days. All right, so look at you. You're ready to go. You got your internet connection. You got your work here. You're ready to print it. The printer you just bought. You got the ink. You got the paper. It's all situated. Let's go. Let's hit print. Nope. You need a subscription. This is not the world I signed up for. This is not the world I signed up for. Adam says it's called the razor and handle system, first pioneered by Gillette in the late 1910s. I believe they made the blade way more. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. All right, I thought maybe he was on topic, but I don't know what that is. April talking about the HP printer. She says that printer won't let me print if I use off-brand cartridge either. Oh, of course not. Yeah, they've got all their bases covered. Because the idea of bending the working class over is completely normalized and nobody gives a shit. The rich can't fuck with the poor because that's too overt. And then that's going to get the near rich, the elite adjacent, that's going to get them all stirred up. The West Coast Sorkin liberal types. You're being mean to the poor. Meanwhile, nobody sticks up for the middle class. Nobody sticks up for the working class. We're the ones that get shit on. It's time for us to band together. But we don't want to do that because we all look to the mansion on the hill. We don't want to be a part of the class we're in. We want to be accepted into the class that rejects us. Because we've been poisoned over 80 years of Americanism to think that gross consumerism and having more shit in your garage than your neighbor is the only way to win. It's nonsense. Adam giving me a little context. He says, I'm describing what you are talking about, how subscription models became pervasive. Okay, let's go back now. Sorry, Adam. So Adam says it's called the razor and handle system, first pioneered by Gillette in like the 1910s. I believe they made the blade way more expensive than the handle. Interesting. Yeah, probably. I'm so sorry. I'm more high-minded than you. Yes, well, that's again, Adam. Don't pat yourself on the back because that, my friend, is a low bar. Here's some fun video. Here's some video. What do we? Are there multiple video, or do we have the story? Yeah. Okay. So we've got the story and the video. I don't know what's going on here, folks. I'll explain it to you. This comes to us from California. Actually, let me give you the story here. I'll give you the story first. It's about a crazy lady and a kid. This comes to us from California. Insane moment as driver chases child down sidewalk of suburban neighborhood with her car. Yeah. So some kid, look, the kids on the electric bikes. I don't know if you live in a neighborhood where, when I lived in Highland Park, every rich kid has like some $5,000 electric bicycle that is basically just a motorcycle. It's a motorcycle, but it's not a combustion engine. It's electric. It still goes like 70 or like, it's crazy. No helmets, no nothing, because they're technically loopholed in as bikes and they're allowed on streets. Gangs of, the children of billionaires all around Highland Park rolling around on these super expensive electric bikes. Now, this one in this video that we're going to watch here, this one doesn't look like an electric bike so much as it looks like a classic 1970s mini bike. Remember that? Remember the bad kid in your neighborhood? The trashy people, they had a mini bike? Yeah, and you're just a normal Saturday and you hear going up and down your block and you're like, oh, those trash people. They sure seem to have fun. So that's what this is like. This is like kid on a mini bike. And a woman sees him and becomes so incensed by the kid having fun that she decides she's going to run him over. We got video of it. It is shocking video. It shows the moments that an alleged drunk driver mounts the sidewalk and chases a child riding a dirt bike in a shocking incident in a leafy Washington state neighborhood. Okay, I knew it was West Coast. I thought it was California. Wendy Clemente, 56, was arrested for allegedly trying to mow down the child in her vehicle while under the influence. All right, let's watch the video. And then we'll get a little bit more into the story and figure out, is that it? All right, hold on. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's watch the story. Again, this is just a kid. Just a kid riding his mini bike in his neighborhood. We've all seen this. I'll say this. At least the kid has a helmet on. Look at this still. All right, yeah, you notice she is on the sidewalk. She's chasing him. She's drunk. Don't know why she's chasing him. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's enjoy the video. Here we go.
Oh my God.
I love that move with the kid. I love where he's just like, wait, hold on. Right there. I love the kid's like, fuck, this lady's crazy. Oh, man.
Oh my God. Hell, this lady's crazy.
There she goes. He's like, well, I got to get out of here. Seriously, what, I wouldn't know if this was my kid. I mean, if this was my kid and an adult in the neighborhood, I wouldn't. All right. She's kind of talking to him here. Now she's going to jump up the curb. He knows he's in trouble. He better accelerate that thing. Go!
Oh my God.
What is she trying to do? Kill this child? Is that what's going through her head right now? I'm going to try and kill this kid. Why not? Seems reasonable. Just going to fucking kill him. Nothing wrong here. This is a person in a mental spin. Again, what am I doing? Looking a little bit, being a little bit more thoughtful about this. I mean, we could all have fun and be like, she's awful. Let's kick her to death in the street. We could all be like that. Or we could also go, you know what? Holy shit. Something's going on with this person. Right? This idea that, people are either good or bad, and this is a bad person, and we put them in a box. Now, this is a woman who's obviously having some kind of a mental problem. Pug, she's drunk. Well, she's drunk because she's probably having a mental problem. This is not drunk behavior. This is crazy person behavior. Drunks don't do this. They don't. They think, I ought to run that guy over, but I ain't that drunk. No, this is a fucking crazy woman. And we know that she's crazy because of what she did next. So let's go back to the story here. Again, this is Wendy Clement, 56. She was arrested there in Washington. Horrifying cell phone footage taken by a neighbor, which we just watched, shows the car turning towards the boy, riding his dirt bike while Clemente honks her horn repeatedly on a street in the upscale Pacific Northwest town of Cheney, Washington. This woman's crazy, the neighbor says, as her silver Ford Focus swerves at the child before reversing and aiming straight at him. Video shared Monday by the Spokane County Sheriff's Office shows. So that the video came from the sheriff's office. They released it. Clemente yells something at the kid, who looks back and appears to respond before riding away. At which point the car, shut up, lady. It's probably what he said. Like, the kid's probably a little punk, but honestly, you can't do this. Kids are going to be punks, and adults just have to be, I can't believe we let kids be punks. You can't take it into your own. You can't, like, correct the kid. I'm sorry. It's not 1890, okay? Can't correct the neighbor's kids anymore. She's trying to run this kid over. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The person filming is heard yelling. Deputies were initially called over reports of a burglary about a mile away. Related? Let's see. Deputies were initially called over reports of a burglary about a mile away from the incident, after a caller who wasn't home said that they had seen someone trying to open doors on their live security cam footage. All right, so you get this like a mile away before she's chasing the kid down. About a mile away, there was an attempted break-in at a home. The person who lived in the home wasn't there, but he got the Ring doorbell or whatever, and he's able to see this person at the door, describes the person to the police. So this is about a mile away. So the police are responding to that while this is happening. When officers arrived at the call for the burglary call, they then found Clement back on the scene and in her silver Ford Focus. So these cops didn't even know that she did this to the kid. She showed up at the house, she did a little thing, she left, she chased the kid, she came back to the house. When she came back to the house, the police were there. Police are like, hey, you fit the description of the person. When officers arrived at the caller's home, they found Clement and the silver Ford Focus. During her arrest, Clement attempted to kick a patrol deputy. Okay. She told deputies that she, quote, took her dogs for a ride. That's what she was doing. And was, quote, looking for other dogs to socialize with. I don't know if her dogs were in the car. Clement was suspected of driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs and was booked into the Spokane County Jail on charges of first-degree attempted assault, DUI, and criminal trespass. Clemente denied knowing anything about the incident involving the child on a dirt bike. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we've got video of you. I don't know. I don't even remember doing that. She was suspected of driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol. She later admitted that she did consume some alcohol before her arrest. She was arraigned in court on April 29th. That's more than alcohol. That's a and they're out there, man. They're out there. That's why I don't road rage anymore. It's way too easy to get a legal gun under a seat, and there's way too many crazy people out there. Don't road rage anymore. Let's make America great again, where we can just rage at somebody in the lane next to us and not worried about them pulling a gun and shooting us dead. Adam's got a problem with the not correcting kids. He says adults not correcting kids is what's wrong with us lately. No, I'm not going to even read anymore because I'm sorry, Adam, but I do not trust any other adults in this modern society to have any kind of physical control over my child. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, I will send my kids to Catholic school that will have corporal punishment. I'll let nuns and priests beat the shit out of my kid, but I ain't letting some other dude from the Little League team straighten my kid out. People simply can't be trusted, Adam. I know that you are sort of operating when you say this in a world where we can trust our neighbor, and maybe that does still exist to some extent. But there are too many people who are willing to chase a kid down the street on a bike or in a car, like we just saw, for me to ever trust this. It might be nice, might be real nice. I grew up in a neighborhood where you were allowed to be, but the neighborhoods were tight knit and everybody knew each other. That doesn't exist anymore. And we just can't allow strangers to straighten out our kids. I am not all for it. This tells me to keep reading. All right, here we go. Why would I keep reading when your first sentence triggered me into a little rant? He says, adults not correcting kids is what's wrong with us lately. You have to be reasonable, of course, but back in my day, we trusted certain adults and allowed them to parent our kids in our stead. Yeah, I mean, I did not have an altogether different experience. Although I was never I was never physically touched by anybody else. Nuns beat the crap out of me at boarding school. They made me sleep under a piano one night on a hard floor. Like no carpeting, just a hard tile floor. Get under the piano. They made me get under the piano. They made me sleep under a piano, and my family was fine with it. They're like, well, that's a Catholic education. I want to come home. I won't be bad anymore. I promise. Don't make me sleep at school. What is this? Yeah, that was my reality. It was not fun. Adam. I said certain trusted adults. Well, you're just a little more trusting than I am these days, Adam. That's what I would say to you. I don't know that there are any trustful adults. All right. What else do we want to do here today? Anything else? Oh yeah. Let's do this. Okay. So a little bit. Let's look back at baseball again, because I'm Johnny Baseball. I'm loving baseball. Not loving the fact that the Cubs look like they're just not going to lose another game all year. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hate when the Cubs are good. But I do like baseball. I am a big fan of baseball. I've been showing the last couple of days different examples of how we behave at the old ballpark. Showed you a video a couple of days ago of a grown-ass man stealing a ball from a little girl, ruining her day at the ballpark. Showed you that. That actually had a nice ending. And I don't remember what the other one was. What was the other one? Oh, the kid threw it back. Yeah. That was the good one. That was the other one. Okay, so we had the grown-ass man stealing the ball from the little girl. I showed you that. Then we had another example of a ball being hit to a group of kids. A man doing what a man should do, picking up the ball and handing it to the little kid. And then we had the little kid chucking the ball right back onto the field. Like, get this shit out of here. That kid's a real baseball fan. Unless it was a Red Sox ball, because he was there for the Red Sox. If that was a Red Sox home run and he threw it back, big mistake. But it was the other team's home run and he threw it back. Pimp move. But remember, his brother went nuts. Like, as soon as the little brother threw the ball back, the other brother went, no! And then dad had to do some dadding, and it was pretty cool. So we watched that video too. All right, so now we got another baseball one. This is another situation that occurs when balls are randomly hit into the stands. This is the best one. This is by far the best one. This is the one that I love. This is the one that, makes me feel the best. And again, we got another cool dad moment here. This dad is like, that's my boy. My boy rocks. Watch this one. This is cool. What teams are these? Hold on. Make sure what team this is. What is this, Toronto? That looks like Toronto, so these might be Toronto fans. Okay, so here's the boy right here, right? This boy right here. The ball was just hit to this young man. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the video where he gets the ball. But this young man here, is he wearing a Batista jersey? Looks like he is. Jersey? I guess it's a jersey. Let's watch this young man right here. He's at the ball game. Every little boy's dream is to get a ball hit to him. That's the goal when you go there. He brought his mitt, for crying out loud. He was up for it, and he was prepared. Let's see what he does.
Now look at this. I mean, already a gentleman.
Right there. Look at Dad. Look at Dad, man. That kid shot a shot. He had some little girl sitting behind him. He's a little boy. He gets the ball. What does he do? He gives it to the little girl. No questions asked. That's right, baby. I got something for you. That kid is a king. That is a king in the making. That is a kid that knows exactly how to talk to a girl. Not afraid, whatever. Boom, got the ball. All right, what's my pimp move here? What up, baby? How you doing? There you go. Don't forget me. And look at Dad. Dad is like, that was cool. That was cool, kid. You surprised me. Watch it one more time.
Now look at this.
Nope.
I mean, already a gentleman.
She doesn't know how to respond. Look, this mom, Dad doesn't. It's like, stop talking to my daughter. Dad's like, don't give my daughter any balls. No balls for my daughter. That's what Dad's into. But Mom knows. Mom's like, oh, and look at him. Look at Dad. He's got the kid's head. He's like, that's my boy. The girl who received it, I don't think she knows how to take it. This is one of the great misunderstandings that we boys have. We boys seem to think that we're the only ones that are a big puddle of nonsense when it comes to talking to the opposite sex. Girls are just as messed up as we are. This girl doesn't know how to respond to this. She was just given a ball. She's like, do I have to hold his hand now? What do I have to do? Does this mean we're going steady? What are the modern rules? It's cute. That's so cute. Look at she smile. Look at the little smile. She's like, I think that boy likes me. It's so cute. I love it. All right, there you go. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. I'm sure we'll have another example shortly of people behaving properly or improperly at the ball games. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for today's show. That's it. We gotta go. I gotta go. You know what the rest of my day is. I gotta go to the hospital. Mom, thank you all for the very nice thoughts about Mom. If you need the full update, just back the show up to the beginning. It's what I opened with. And so that's what I got to do now. And trying to think, is there anything that I'm looking forward to tonight? No. Got to get my mom cookies. I got to get her. She's got cookies that she likes, white macadamia cookies. And but we didn't bring them to the hospital, and so now she wants cookies. Got to get those. Not got to, want to, because I said, all right, I'll get you your cookies. Oh, you don't need to do that. No, I got to do it. I want to do it. If it'll make you just a little bit happy, I am willing to do it. Understand that this is not about you putting me out. This is about me feeling so freaking helpless about what's happening to you right now that I'm willing to do whatever. Well, my mom has always been like that. My mom has always been like, she's like, I need you to take the garbage out. To which I'll go, all right, and I'll start to take the garbage out. And then she'll immediately feel guilty and be like, oh, not now. You don't have to do it now. Just, My mom and I have it. And then that starts a fight. And I'm like, well, Mom, why wouldn't I do it now? You just asked me. I'm not doing anything. I can take the garbage out now. I can knock that off my list of things to do. Well, I just didn't want you to drop everything. Mom, I'm in my underwear watching TV. What am I dropping? She does it like this. I'm like, well, you okay? You need anything? Nobody brought my cookies. All right, I'll get your cookies. Okay. Oh, you don't have to get my cookies. This is my mom and I. All right, she'll get her cookies. The very idea that she's able to be prickly, because she's not a prickly woman. She's a cool woman. Like every single one of my friends is like, your mom is like the coolest mom. And she is. She's very cool. She's always been cool. She's always had to be the cool mom. She's very similar to? She's very similar to another mom that is in this chat room. Very similar to Mama B. My mom and Mama B are very similar people. They were the moms in the neighborhood who, when one kid would do something that would get them kicked out of the house, they could always have a bedroom at either the Beller's house or my mom. Shit, I had a kid living in my house like long after I left. Pugs, maybe you ought to look into that relationship. No, it wasn't that. It was just one of my friends who was going through some bad stuff with his family. And so, he started living in my room after I left because my mom was awesome. So when I describe her as being like prickly and all that stuff, that's just with me. She's just able to. So again, if you want to hear the full story about why we missed the show and why my life is a bit upside down here over the next couple of days, Mother's Day week. Mother's Day week, pledge week, mom is in the hospital. Oh God, you know what? It's okay because she's breathing good, because she's not what she was when we dropped her off yesterday, and she's probably going to come home this weekend, and we're all very excited. So thank you for the good thoughts. Thank you for everything. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for the last day of what was apparently the worst and least profitable pledge week of all time. But it's because I took a day off. We're going to have to extend pledge week, I think. I don't know, whatever. Or maybe we'll just go left of the slash, right? You ever do that? Now, like when your gas tank, you ever gone left of the slash? How far left? My out of gas icon has been on for at least 20 miles. How many more do I have? That's how I feel like I'm living life. I'm living life left of the slash. Good name for a new podcast. Left of the slash. That's a Seinfeld reference. Seriously, what is there anything else that I need? And what am I watching? Is there anything I'm going to go home and watch tonight that I can tell? Oh, I am watching some. That's right, I am watching something, but I'm watching it again. This might be a whole new segment. We might not be done. Maybe I want to talk about this. So I stumbled onto, and I don't know how I stumbled onto this. How did I stumble onto it? I'm not sure. But it's something that I had seen. It was on a couple of years ago. It's called Clipped. And like I said, I saw it when it was first on. It was a mini series about the Donald Sterling LA Clippers scandal. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the owner of the LA Clippers got secretly recorded with his little minority sex toy, talking about how he didn't want her hanging out with Magic Johnson or any other black people, and then the NBA took the team away from him. It was a big scandal. Remember that? So that's a miniseries called Clipped, and it stars Al Bundy, Ed O'Neill. It stars Al Bundy as Donald Sterling. And for some reason, I started watching that again last night. I don't know what triggered it, but I think I was like, I'll watch this again. And oh my God, I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm watching this now. I forgot how crazy this is. Do you remember the audio? Like I had to go back and listen to the audio again. I started watching it and I'm like, I don't know if I really remember this. What exactly did he say? Like, was he straight up racist or was he kind of? And they play a version of the audio in episode 1. And then I had to go back and listen to the actual audio. And so it's like 9 minutes. It's like 9 minutes of this billionaire talking about how you've got to understand that actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's listen to some of it. And so let me comment on it because I think it is important because it does sort of bolster the stuff that I've said about this 1% class of billionaires that exist in our world. It certainly does bolster my idea that I've pulled off Twitter. I heard somebody say it. I don't know who it is, but I think it's so great. The idea that the world is a exclusive vacation resort for about 100 families, and the rest of us all work here. Let that sink in. Let that be your reality, because that is honestly what this place is. We are all slaves. We're all fetching cocktails for people that are way wealthier than us and have a completely different life experience. And not just because they're richer, but I mean the way people treat them. Their entire idea of what being alive is completely different than ours because we struggle. They do not. So when I started listening back to this billionaire talking about how he didn't want his mistress taking Instagram pictures with black people, and he doesn't know he's being recorded. So you actually get to hear how these people feel about it. And it is pretty shocking. He's not out there like some redneck with a Union or a Confederate flag hanging in his garage going N-word, N-word, N-word. No, it's far more insidious. It's an incredibly wealthy and powerful man saying, look, there's nothing wrong with these people, but the real world They're different. And we are one thing, and they are the casual nature of which this billionaire white man talks about the rest of us. Because honestly, he means if you're poor. In this particular case, it was just black people, but he means if you're poor, the 1%, the peasantry. Let's listen to this for a little bit. Why not? You guys got anywhere to go? I got nowhere to go. I got nothing. Why am I not signed in? I just went to YouTube and it's like, you got to sign in. I'm like, since when do I got to sign into YouTube? There I am. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me play this for you. We'll listen to a little bit of it. And it's real. This is the real audio tape. Magic Johnson, what has he done? Hold on. I want the TMZ one. The TMZ one is good. All right, maybe this is it. All right, here it is. Let's listen to this for a while. Again, I'm rewatching Clipped on Hulu, which is the story of Donald Sterling and how he got his basketball team taken away from him because his mistress secretly recorded what a racist asshole he is. So I'm rewatching that, and now we're going to listen to the actual audio tape of Donald Sterling and his girlfriend, V. Stiviano. She's a piece of work. That's another reason to watch this. Like, if you're a billionaire and you're going to have like a mistress, there are a lot of red flags with old V. Stiviano that Donald Sterling should have been like, okay, maybe she could break bad on me at any minute, because she wasn't hiding it. He was just dumb. And probably, again, because he's so rich, he probably just assumed she's a peasant. She's a little mud person, black, Mexican, whatever she is. I'm a rich white man. She could never hurt me. I could have her ended like that. Like, that's kind of how he looked at this relationship. So that's why he's so cavalier in what he's saying to her. Okay, so here are the secret recordings. We're just going to, get in the Wayback Machine. Maybe you don't remember this. Donald Sterling, owner of the LA Clippers, talking to his mistress, V. Stiviano. He's angry at her because she posted a picture on Instagram. Context is important. This whole conversation is because she posted a picture on Instagram of her and her friend with Magic Johnson. Donald Sterling apparently had a friend call him and go, hey, I saw your girl at the Dodger game with Magic Johnson. How long have they been a thing? And Donald Sterling freaked out. Even though that's not the context, she just ran into Magic Johnson and said, can I get a picture with you? It wasn't even like, hey, Magic, you know me. They didn't even know each other. She just saw Magic Johnson at the game and got a picture and put it on Instagram. And Donald Sterling freaked out thinking that she's having sex with Magic Johnson. Because I imagine if you are a 90-year-old billionaire dating a 25-year-old smoke show, you might be a bit insecure about what she's doing when you're not around. So here it is. That's the context for this conversation. Here we go.
I wish I can change the skin, the color of my skin.
That isn't the issue. You missed the issue.
What's the issue?
The issue is we don't have to broadcast it.
I'm not broadcasting anything. I don't do anything wrong.
You just honestly listen to what an idiot she sounds like. I don't die. She sounds like a moron. Like she's just, anyway. And she's the good one in this.
Nobody said you did anything wrong.
I don't do anything wrong. If we ever have any issues, it's because people call you and tell you things about me that are not true.
Why are you broadcasting?
I'm not broadcasting anything.
Taking pictures with minorities. Why?
Well, okay, so why are you taking pictures with minorities? She's a minority, but apparently this is one of the things. She was like passable. Like if you looked at her and if you told somebody that she was like Greek or something, she could pass for a white Mediterranean. And that's kind of what he was okay with. But in reality, she's black and Mexican, and he refused to accept that she's black and Mexican. That's coming up right here.
I'm not broadcasting. People call you and tell you things about me that are not true.
Why are you broadcasting?
I'm not broadcasting anything.
Taking pictures with minorities. Why?
What's wrong with minorities? What's wrong with black people?
Nothing.
What's wrong with these
It's
families?
like talking to an enemy. There's nothing wrong with minorities. They're fabulous.
Okay, he's like, nothing. I'm not going to say anything. God, you're like talking to the enemy. There's nothing wrong with minorities. They're fabulous. That's what the billionaire is saying. He's rolling his eyes. He's like, well, of course, everything's wrong with minorities because they're not white. I mean, that's basically his worldview that he's sharing here. But he doesn't want to come out and say that because he's having this conversation with his mistress, who's a minority.
What's wrong with black people?
Nothing.
What's wrong with these
It's
families?
like talking to an enemy. There's nothing wrong with minorities. They're fabulous. Fabulous. Because you're an enemy to me.
Why?
Because you don't understand.
The white billionaire sees the minority who doesn't accept that white are superior as the enemy. Are you following this? He's just telling her, well, now I'm realizing that you're the enemy to me because you're one of those people. Because one of those people are the enemy to the billionaire class. Donald Sterling.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with minorities. They're fabulous. Fabulous. Because you're an enemy to me.
Why?
Because you don't understand.
I don't understand what.
Nothing.
That racism still is alive?
No, but there's a culture.
What culture?
People steal certain things.
He's justifying now the culture that he is a part of where people feel certain things about people who aren't like them. And he's trying to explain to this little mud girl that she could never possibly understand what people like him think about people like her. That is what he's saying. He is explaining this culture of the 1%, the Epstein culture, the people who can do whatever the hell they want, and they can look down on anybody that isn't like them because they've got money, and that somehow makes them better.
Hispanics steal certain things towards blacks. Blacks steal certain things towards other groups. It's been that way historically, and it will always be that way.
But it's not that way in my heart and in my mind.
But maybe you want to adjust to the world.
Maybe you want to be racist, is what he's saying. She's like, no, that's not what I feel in my heart or in my mind. He's like, well, maybe you need to adjust to the world that knows that people like you are garbage.
Why? If the world doesn't do anything for me and they don't make me happy.
You're right. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to argue.
I can't be racist in my heart.
And that's good. I'm living in a culture, and I have to live within the culture. So that's the way it is. That's how
I'm living in a culture, and I have to live within the culture. The culture that he is admitting to living in is a racist one where white billionaires make all the rules. And he's explaining to his little mud girl that this is the world that I live in. Now, isn't this the world that you want to live in? Because isn't my world better? And in my world, you people are garbage. You either accept this or you don't.
I got it. I got the whole message. You live with your heart.
I don't.
You can't be flexible. You can.
I am flexible. I understand that that's the way you were raised and that's your culture, and I'm respectful. And
why do you have to disrespect them? Those are.
Who am I disrespecting?
The world before you.
Why does she have to disrespect racists by saying they're wrong? Why does she have to do that? That's what he's asking her. This is a man who made billions. It cannot be that hard to make billions. It's got to be luck. It's got to be grind and luck.
Why am I disrespecting them?
By walking, you perceive as either a Latina or a white girl.
All right, so this is where it gets interesting. See, he's saying that, when people see you, you're perceived as a Latino or a white girl. Like, he's like, you got to get the white girl in there because that's the only way that he could justify her being his mistress. She has to be at least passable white. She's about to tell him that ain't what's going on here, dude.
Why should you be walking publicly with black people? Why? Is there a benefit to you?
Is it a benefit to me? Does it matter if they're white or blue or yellow?
I guess that you don't know that. Maybe you're stupid. Maybe you don't know what people think of you. It does matter, yeah. It matters.
Do you know that I'm mixed?
Okay, here we go. Now she's like, you know that I'm black. And he's going to be like, no, you're not.
No, I don't know.
Like, she's like, you know that I'm black. And he's like, nope. No, I don't know that. I don't accept that. I couldn't possibly have a black mistress.
You know that I'm mixed.
You told me you were going to remove those. You said, yes, I understand you. I mean, you change from day to day. Wow. So painful. Wow.
People call you and tell you that I have black people on my Instagram, and it bothers you.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people.
Okay, so you do understand that this man owns an NBA team. At the time that he was saying this, he's got Doc Rivers as his head coach. He's got Chris Paul on his team. He's got Blake Griffin. He's got DeAndre Jordan. This was a stacked Clippers team. This guy owned the team. And he is literally on tape saying, why do you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people?
You have to.
You associate with black.
Isn't this why the NBA doesn't call their owners? Right? I mean, you like in football, who owns the team? In baseball, who owns the team? In basketball, they're not called owners. They're called governors. Called governors because of the whole slave thing and because of this. This is where they decided they were going to stop calling NBA team owners because one of them was basically talking about how he hates black people. And that's just too connected to the whole slave thing. So,
Black people.
With black people. You have to.
You associate with black people.
I'm not you and you're not me. You're supposed to be a delicate white or a delicate Latina girl.
He needs her to be white, and he needs her to play into this fabrication.
A mixed girl.
Okay. Well, but
and you're in love with me. And I'm black and Mexican, whether you like it or not,
okay.
Whether the world accepts it or not. And you're asking me to remove something.
All right, you know what? That's all. It goes on for like 9 minutes. I mean, it is just, if you want to find it, it's there on YouTube. It's so great. Anyway, yeah. So I'm watching Clipped, the miniseries starring Ed O'Neill and Cleopatra Coleman. I think that's who plays V. Stiviano. That's the girl, V. Stiviano. It's pretty good. I mean, I saw it, but you know, it was a couple of years ago. So some of the finer points are entertaining to me again. That's what I'm doing. Governors. They have to call NBA owners governors now because Donald Sterling revealed himself to be a racist. It is Pledge Week, so one more time I will throw this up there. Boom, boom, boom. Again, to anybody wants to know about my mom, I'm not going to be talking extensively about her, but you can back up to the beginning of the show and you'll find my update on what's going on and why there was no show yesterday and why hopefully there will be a show tomorrow because everything seems to be going better. Better is good. Better is good. Better is good. So thank you all. Thank you all for the good energy. Thank you all for the tips and the support and helping us out this Pledge Week. We're way behind the 8 ball, but we've been there before. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Okay. Hopefully I'll let you know. Follow on Twitter, Pugs Moran, Twitter, Facebook. You're all already friends, right? You're already. I'll let you know tomorrow around 10 or 11 if we're going to do a show. But again, Pledge Week being Pledge Week, I certainly need to do a show. So we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, bye.